Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call, the Star Citizen podcast where myself and Croncy talk about what's been going on this week or a specific topic. This week, we have a lot of 4.2 updates in the PTU, as well as a dev talking about the year of stability. And I thought that because a lot of the topics were like, or content from this week is quite small stuff that eventually will hopefully lead to something cool. We're exactly about half of the way through the year, right? We're about halfway through the month, halfway through the halfway month. So what a good time to go report carding and going, hey, how's this year of stability thing going? Because I see it coming up a lot and people seem to not feel that that's what's happening. And that's actually what the dev responded to. So kind of want to talk about that and kind of hear what everyone else's thoughts have been, how they're feeling. The one thing I want to mention on that subject is don't base your year of stability feelings off of January to now. Base them off of the whole of your Star Citizen experience over the years and how is it, right? Because it's very clear that it is more stable than not working at all. Right. So, of course, that would be a success, but I don't think that that's necessarily what they meant. But anyway, for that long intro, how are you doing, Croncy? What's new?
I'm doing lovely. The Final Fantasy Cross Magic the Gathering set came out on Friday, and Wizards of the Coast sent me like $800 worth of product, which is insane.
Let's go.
So I've been having a great few days just playing Magic the Gathering. And then finally hopped back onto some Star Set today. And in addition, Elden Ring Night Rain came out just before the pod last week. So I've been playing a ton of that this week.
I played it with Noodle and Dark Laws. Super fun. They're too good at games, though, for me. They were getting a little annoyed that I was holding them back.
Had you played a Souls-like before that?
Never. No.
Okay, yeah. That's going to be a rough one to start. Well, not a rough one to start with, but it's going to mean that like other people will be a bit ahead of you, I guess.
Yeah, like they were always, let's go. They were making decisions, and it was just like they were always getting annoyed by how slow I was going. And I was like, but you asked me to play, and I never played it before. It's like, why are we doing this? So I was just like, I don't think I'm going to play with them anymore. I don't want to hold them back. But the game is really, really good. I started out as the Eagle character. I don't know what it was.
Yep.
And then I went to the mage. The mage is broken though, like literally bugged.
Yeah, mage is dope. Oh wait, what?
Yeah, like where like you put magic on something and then your second skill you pull it off.
Yep.
It was not pulling off consistently. So like I would
have to hold the button because I had the same issue.
I know, but even when I was spamming it, like it just wasn't consistent. So I couldn't play it. And they were also like, for our comp, it's not really working anyway. So then I went to the archer and we dual archered plus Noodle was playing some character. I can't remember. And it was super fun. So we finally cleared the first boss and then they were just getting too Giga Chad for me when it came to the rest of it. Cause I just couldn't keep up, but it was a very, very good time. I did not play Dune either. I know a lot of people jumped into that.
But everyone in my chat today have been spamming that I have to play it.
Yeah, me too. And I've had my Funcom experiences with Conan, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to give it a try, I think, on the regular launch, but not on the... I'm not doing the early access thing. Don't care to play early access stuff. And outside of that, I've been going like mostly in Star Citizen trying to get the worm every single day this week. And every single day, a piece of that puzzle broke. So like we had spoke about, we're doing Hathor things again with doors and codes and all sorts of things, and they're breaking at every avenue, and kind of scary. We have 2 weeks until this patch comes out, as per Jared on ISC. So hopefully they nail this stuff down.
Yeah, which it seems like all the content is in there now, like all of it, from what we can tell. With maybe the exception of possibly a ship if they do one for Alien Week straight to flyable.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little less likely than like most of the time they don't. So so presumably it's just 2 weeks of bug fixes. Which like there is one problem with, which is like, so they've tried to fix some of the gameplay issues So we're talking before the pod, like they updated the Valakar after the pod last week,
Trying to make it more
a bit
dangerous.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. So like now I believe the mouth is no longer a weak spot, so now you have to get in a little bit closer to try to shoot the scales and stuff,
Well,
which is good, cool.
Yeah, you have to shoot the weak spots now as well. So they popped in
Yeah,
and said, like, you must shoot them because you will do 1% damage to the Valakar in any other location. So that's actually a big one as well, because I think people were just shooting wherever and it was doing enough damage to kill them.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in like larger
so that
groups.
Changed. They moved the med beds, but I once again I haven't been able to do the event since
I can
last
explain
week, but
this
I can't
one.
imagine. Yeah, has it made a change in a good way, or
It's they're not listening to the feedback, right? Like they just aren't, and it's getting kind of silly. So I think most players were pretty well behind the idea of moving the spawn point outside of the main area where the worm is fighting to where you grab the tram initially, and they didn't do that. I thought that in the notes when I read it that's what they had done. I'd be like, wow, they were
sounded
listening.
like,
Yeah. But turns out if you go into the main infirmary at the last location, you can't set your spawn there, but there are satellite buildings at that location. Now you go to the satellite buildings, you could set your spawn at one of them or any of them, and you will respawn at random at one of the 5 satellite buildings. So you can't be spawn camped unless it's a big group, which early on, guess what? You're going to be fighting big groups. They're going to have one person in each building spawn camping you. So after launch, that will be a decent fix. But until then, not so much, right? Yeah. And I have no way of telling if the worm is more dangerous because I haven't seen it since my initial kill, unfortunately. So I think that is a good-ish change. It is better than what we had, but it just feels like, hey, everybody was fine with going back to the tram, I think. So nothing wrong with that. But I don't know. Yeah. Other thing was like naming the Ikti Rad.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the jump pack, and so
it has a backpack.
The Rad, is my understanding. Yeah, it has a backpack.
It is a unique vehicle. So it has the guns plus a backpack. The Ikti, Atlas Ikti, is just a normal Atlas with the guns, and then the Geo Ikti has the jump pack with the guns. So I think what most people believe now is, I guess we could talk about this part. On ISC this week, the only thing really worth talking about from ISC was Elliot mentioning the Atlas being only available in game, the Atlas Ikti, and nowhere else. And a lot of people got on that. Some of them were happy, some of them were not happy about that, and I found that to be very comical. But yeah, he mentioned that it was only going to be in game, and then people saw that they renamed the location, like the Atlas at this location, the Rad, and now most people are under the assumption that it will be only the Rad that you can find at this location, and other versions of the Ikti will be sold on the store, but only time will tell on that one. I don't know, how do you feel about that? I think most people were pretty happy about seeing a vehicle only available in the game.
Yeah. Overwhelmingly, the response from the community for the most part seemed like it was positive.
A couple
towards
idiots,
that.
Basically.
Exactly. I did start stream today with, my God, we are cooked as a community if we have people saying unironically that this needs to be purchasable on the pledge store. But yeah, it seems pretty good. I am hoping, of course, that it does mean that it like yes, it got renamed the Rad. I am hoping that does not mean that like there will be an exact same version not called the Rad that you can buy, because that'll be silly.
Yeah.
What I'm more hoping it is so they also mentioned in this, and it's maybe one of the other points that's like relevant, is they said this storyline gets even crazier in August. Whatever that means, I'm hoping that like that maybe means we see more Iktis, and that's why it's called the Rad, is because there's like another one coming in the next patch or something that has like maybe a different setup. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't know, but I what I do know is, well, I actually don't know anything on this, and that's what's kind of funny is there was a patch note. Sorry, I like swallowed down the wrong pipe, and now it's hard to talk.
All good.
Um, there was a patch note that mentioned tritium, something like that, which is a helium isotope. It's like a radioactive material. Okay, and and in the patch note it said raise the price for this. By the way, no place to buy it, no place to sell it, no place it spawns. Literally had Luke Presley in our chat looking for it. He goes, all I know is it's a commodity from everything I've looked at, but I cannot see it. It's not anywhere
Like
in
it being
the
available.
PTU.
Yeah.
So I think it accidentally snuck into the patch notes for the 4.2.x. So that's probably, we might see something more like supplier die for that, is my guess. Hydrogen isotope, not helium. Excuse me. So sorry about that one. It's radioactive. That's the point that we're making.
Okay, yeah, cool.
But yeah, so that's how it's going to play out, or that's it just doesn't seem to be in 4.2. So that was something that I was like adamantly looking for, could not find anywhere. Yeah, outside of that, it was a lot of this week for me just laughing a lot at the community. Because
just while we're on it, I'll mention one more thing about the Valakar, which was confirmed by Zach, I believe, in some type of comment from somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but the irradiated Valakar is supposed to be like sickly. I think it's like one of the animations that he was talking about. One of the animations supposed to play during the fight is to make it shown that it is like weaker than a regular Apex Valakar, which confirms some of the stuff we were talking about last week. So if the storyline keeps going this way, presumably we will maybe fight a big Apex Valakar, and then that's why we would require ships and whatnot. This is supposed to be weaker. That's all.
Okay. That's good to know. I didn't see that one, so I'm glad you mentioned it. Yeah. I'm trying to think around this stuff. That's all I can remember being relevant. Oh, the doors are off the trams. That's another thing that's changed.
Yes. As well as a bunch of sound effects are finally working. So the Geiger counter on the suit seems to be working. So when you're getting irradiated, you hear a Geiger counter now. That's cool. The VFX of like I don't know what you would call them, because it's also on those doors on the tram, where it's like a force field door kinda to protect you on the inside. Of you like transitioning through that is there and whatnot now. So all the like VFX have been polished a lot more this week. But that's all it's really been. It's mostly just been a week, other than like news stuff. It's just been a week of polishing and bug fixing. The bug fixing bug fixing probably working, but server performance not working in the PTU at all.
At all. Like, it's weird because I don't even think it's server performance. I had pretty active AI this morning, but just the step one busted. Like, go get the code from the little safe. None of the codes worked at any location. So yeah, and then obviously like just dealing with the PvP made it a little harder, but I still went to 4 or 5 different locations and was able to get in there. Just a funny note is sometimes you could scare the AI to go to the door, so like you don't have to knock them, change your anything. Like they were just like, you know, hiding at the door. I hit the scan and the door opened for me, so that was kind of cool.
I like that, actually.
I also pretended to be an AI.
That's very like spy reminiscent of like, you're gonna open the door for me.
Exactly. And I also like pretended to be an AI and just stood there, and like a group of 3 people came in and just ignored me and never killed me and left. Just sweet. But yeah, that's all I have on that. Refinery jobs are going to change or have changed in the PTU, which is super cool. I will bring up that info. That was from Patchwatch.
Yeah, they it's called Refine and something, isn't it? The actual like they made a big deal of it.
Well, yeah, but it's literally one line in that.
Yeah.
That they'll just
it
be
made
shorter.
Me think, is there more refining stuff coming that I'm not aware of? But yeah, no, it's just talking about the times.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately again, yeah, it's just one line. Why is this acting this way? Okay. So we had a dev I've never seen before, Highlander, who posts
Okay.
like, then he took it big time. Like you can expect between 200% to 400% faster refining jobs. And then he gives examples like a fairly slow refined ore, like Boraz at Faithful Dream, even using the fast method like XCR. He gave the wrong one, or maybe not. Because they shorten them. So anyway, a full 96 SCU of it would take around an hour. Well, now the same amount would finish in under 18 minutes, right?
Yeah,
so it's just like
faster.
big difference there. And then the player's going to make the choice to lose a third of their yield. That choice should actually be meaningful, right? So they get that stuff quicker. And then example 2, 4.1, 200 aluminum using pyro whatever. The job would take around 24 hours. Then it'll take 6 now. And then third example is 100% gold. 32 will be done in 32 SU in 10 minutes with XCR, and then 12 hours with Dynex. So
okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad they changed it.
All just meant to deal with more, like basically more the 200.
People are doing bigger orders, right? Yeah,
exactly. Like that's
people
what
are doing
this
much
is meant
larger
to
orders
change.
since the address.
Oops. But yeah, so that's kind of a big deal for people who like this stuff. And yeah, as somebody who refined 400 SU of Quantanium yesterday, I would love this to be a thing. It would make life a lot easier than having to do each job individually, because that is annoying. So yeah, that is a nice change. Outside of that, from this specific post, it was more of the silly torpedo stuff that I had mentioned, which is definitely a Band-Aid. It's better than what we had, but it is still not perfect. Countermeasures, things like that. And then obviously the Mirai thing. I got into a Guardian today. It is way better even than the pictures. Like the cockpit view is fantastic, so that's nice.
Yeah,
and
very clean.
Yeah, we mentioned this last week that you can spawn the Atlases in your freight elevators. Another thing that they made a change at the locations that we didn't mention. They put freight elevators there. So it used to be you had to get the big things out, including the Ikti, with the tram, which is super scuffed. So they put a freight elevator there. It doesn't work yet, but the intention is that freight elevator will connect to the one at, like we had mentioned about respawning, it'll connect to the one at the location outside of the storm, and you'll be able to grab it from there. So at least at the main location, you'll have a way to get armor out, big Wicklow type things. It'll essentially work like the CZs, correct? The CZ, you're at the same physical location, so it's a little different, but it will literally transfer it. Hopefully, it'll essentially work like how they mentioned base building will work. So that's sort of what we're hoping for there is, hey, maybe that's a step towards that, which would be really cool. So yeah.
Certainly a much better gameplay decision. I have seen some people complain about it's just weird that you have it store here and then 20 kilometers away you're able to bring it up. But I think it's one of those things. It's a necessity for right now to make this activity a little bit better. In the future, I would certainly prefer something like you have to. Well, we already talked about we want ground vehicles to be a thing. It's like maybe you have to move these with ground vehicles 20 kilometers back and then store them, whatever. But for now, it'll as long as it works, it'll be fine.
Correct. Yeah. Wicklow got some updates. I think you had something you wanted to mention about that specifically, but that'll be in the monthly report, right? So we'll hold off on that for just a second. But lots of complaints about script and Karenite. And CIG listened. So they re-added Karenite will get you favor. Script will get you favor. And the new Valakar stuff will get you favor. I agree with that change wholeheartedly. There was no reason why players who did not want the new stuff should have to participate in a PvP sandbox activity to get things that they didn't have to last
Yeah.
patch, right? Like it seemed kind of fucked.
Especially with the sort of history of the Star System player over the last 6 months has been wait until the new activity comes out to do the previous activity. So it's like, well, if you do that and then you can't actually spend the reward on stuff you want, then it's pretty rough, right?
Bro, I need to learn how to drink. I was fine, and then I just took another drink and I did it again. What the heck? But yeah, so great change. So now you can farm your script. You can do it. I almost this close to buying, like taking every credit that I had and going on UEX and saying buying all script, buying it and holding it for a future patch when it would be available, and making more money off of it, like actual Eve shit. And I was literally one day from doing that, and that day the update came out that night. So thank goodness I didn't do it. I mean, I wouldn't have lost much, but still.
Yeah, it would have been fine for the most part.
Yep. Oh, I see this in chat. Wicklow is still a shit loot box. Elliot was in my chat when I mentioned this. I was like, hey, Elliot, hate this. I want to do Wicklow. I want to do CZs. I hate that you can't go for like specific things and it's just loot crate.
Sure. Yeah. The randomness of it is awkward.
Also, the turn-ins are horrible, right? And he literally said, we knew all of this before we ever launched it. And I said, okay, well, but you still launched it. Like, what the hell? First off, but second, like the turn-ins, they have their solution, if not already actively on that solution for turn-ins. And he just said that they know that they have the ability to, not ability, but they know that they don't like the loot crate mechanic of it. And I guess I have to respond to this because it's every time DJ is a viewer, not so much a developer, but he goes, weren't you the one that wants like 0.01% drops? That is, to me, like 0.01% drops is like on an FPS NPC, like the Ace helmets on the ghillie stuff. That's more, that's what I like. When it comes to...
It's a random extra thing. Like you still want to be able to, I am trying, like if you're farming through something, it's like I'm trying to farm for this specific gun, but then while I am farming for that specific gun, I also find a helmet, or I also find a whatever that's like worth a lot of money.
Yeah, and if you were gonna call Wicklow a barter, he would clearly be like, if you want this specific ship, give me the specific item. Like, so yeah, that's it. I don't consider Wicklow a drop, right?
Yeah.
But I do consider the Ace helmets that I give Wicklow drops. And I'm fine if those are low percentage or, excuse me, whatever percentage that they want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. I don't know. Where do you want to go next?
Let's talk, because it was in the ISC and we went over the ISC really quickly. The drama around just like one sentence that was in there talking about this activity being exploration, because I have takes.
Go for it.
So lots of people in the community.
Can we listen to exactly what they said though? Not listen to it.
We can try to find it. Yeah.
I'll put like closed captioning on.
Yeah.
Do we know if it's at like beginning?
I do not know.
Because apparently they said it's like the beginning of exploration or the start of it, or like they didn't say that this is exploration. Like you're not pulling out your exploration ships for this kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have takes. And that take is this activity is exploration.
Sure.
So I think when a lot of people, and don't worry if you are mad at me, you won't be in a second, I hope. A lot of people, when they hear that any sort of mechanic is like exploration or anything, and it's not the exact mechanic they want, they get mad because it's not in yet. What I think a lot of people want is scanning exploration. And when I say that, I mean like you are actively trying to look for random events, random locations that have fun stuff in them, right? For example, finding the wormholes when they eventually come out, the non-static ones,
Yep.
or finding a derelict and then there's cool stuff in the derelict, but you can't quantum to that derelict like as a location and stuff like that. That's all more like scanning related mechanics, in my opinion, which needs to come out soon. It's like we know it's not a feature year, but like that's one of the big features that's been missing for super, super long. Exploration already still exists in the game and has existed in the game for a while. It's just after you do it once, you're done. After you find a cave, you're done. After you do this activity, you're not done. Like you'll farm it, but the exploration aspect of it is done, right?
And we live in a world
yeah.
where guides are on YouTube and so on and so
Exactly,
forth.
Yeah. So I do think it's exploration. I think the bigger problem is that people really want scanning, and I want them more to be mad about that. So be mad about that.
Yeah, I also think that there's like the PvE versus PvP problem
Yeah.
at these locations. I don't really mean problem, but at these locations where it's like, man, I don't even really get to look at, because what is the exploration at these locations we should probably talk about, and it's I'll try and find if they show any of it in the video, but you look at the walls and they give you information on like what you're supposed to do. For example, this, right? This is a very simplistic version of it, but like lab coat required. What should I do? I scan, it doesn't work. How does this work? Right. And like when you get into this room, it shows you the next location is clearly like, oh, that's very blue. That must be on Pyro 1. And like it starts to take you around. And if there was no guides on YouTube, you didn't read the patch notes thoroughly that told you where everything was, it would be exploration, or it would be at least a puzzle to solve, which would be cool. And we did get a lot of that puzzle aspect when we were in the PTUs and Evo and everything, and just everybody knows what to do now, and it doesn't feel that way.
So. Yeah, exactly. It's the exploration aspect of this activity is a one and done, and then after it, you know exactly what to do every single time. It's not going to feel as new and as interesting. It's going to become a bit more of a sort of monotonous grind activity.
Yeah, and that's fine, I guess. That's the whole point with the sandbox activity, is you kind of do it over and over again. But yeah. I agree with you on that one. There's no argument from me there. It is a form of exploring, right? You're just exploring the story as well, right?
Yeah.
So
it's maybe there would maybe be an argument that it's like a little too handholdy. Like you have this, you have this really cool thing. Like so, you go to the data centers, you go to the inside with the lab coat, you do all that, and then you see the planet. But if you just go to Pyro 1, hey, look, I've got a bunch of quantum markers for these Lazarus complexes. What the hell are these, right? That's a little bit too easy. I think it would have been a lot more interesting if you had to sort of fly to them from another area or what have you. Kind of like how back in the day you couldn't quantum directly to prison, so you had to go to like Barton Flats, I think it is, and then fly your way there. Like just work out how to get there. That sort of stuff would have added to it a little bit more.
Yeah, it's just you got people hearing the word exploration and then like losing their mind about it when words have multiple meanings. Whoa, holy, like you're exploring the area you're in. You're exploring the story of this. You're like, this community.
But like I said, like they are still right just in regards to scanning. The big scanning gameplay just is not in the game, hasn't been in the game, has a little bit been talked about when they talked about the new quantum boosting and stuff. But that was a while ago now. So
yeah. So good times. You want to go monthly report?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This is mostly going to be you, because outside of this hacking stuff, I wasn't in a little bit of FPS scanning. I didn't see too much exciting, crazy stuff. So,
Yeah, so there's a lot of like small things that have me excited about well, yeah, potentially things in the next few months.
character art for me, if you want to go down the list. So when we get there, that one sticks out to me. But outside of that, I don't have.
Yeah, I mean, most of the AI stuff, as usual, either goes way above my head, or it's just like we've come up with a new way for the AI to do something very simple. Which, like, cool. I'm glad that you've done that. It doesn't mean anything to me necessarily. Just let me know when they are fun to play against, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have
and like a lot of bug fixes and stuff.
You have animation that's like we're doing more stuff for Wicklow, so it's like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But character art's the next one. I'll just point that one out.
Yeah,
they kicked off a light armor. There's only one armor this can be. What do you think it is?
You mean a heavy armor? Oh, sorry. They also kicked off a light armor. Right. Sorry. I assume like the recon armor or something. Wasn't that light armor? No, that was a heavy
sniper armor.
I don't know which one.
The sniper armor at CitizenCon 2024. They're working on FPS scanning. This would be the counter to FPS scanning, because that said, if you're wearing all the gear, you will not be able to be scanned. So that's what I think this one is. So that's kind of a cool thing to point out. That might be cool.
Yeah. No, 100%.
But it'll probably be sold in the pledge store, not come with this gameplay and all the other stuff, just like every other armor that was at CitizenCon 2024. I forgot about that one. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't even like intend to do that gotcha, but it just kind of popped in my head. I'm seeing the Mirai armor that does nothing for G-forces. I'm seeing the Hathor armor that does nothing at all like a tank, and I just remembered that. It just kind of popped in. It's like, whoops.
Yeah. At least the new armor does something. It's radiation. Which actually that'll bring me to a thing later. Remind me about radiation later. But they do also mention in-game rewards and gameplay rewards in our characters as well. So I like, yeah, we've been getting more of those, but they similar to other things that we've mentioned have never been only rewards. It's always been like, here is a gameplay reward, but also here's like the subscriber version of the armor.
Yeah,
that's got like neon yellow or something.
Exactly.
Ships, as always, well, not the thickest, but like the second thickest section every month for the most part. 4 unannounced ships still being worked on at the moment. I imagine we will get either a concept or a straight to flyable for Alien Week. If it is either of those, please straight to flyable.
I think we're gonna get both.
Don't do us dirty.
I think we're gonna get both. A lot of people think. I keep hearing people say a Prowler variant or something. I don't know what that would be, to be honest. Hopefully it's a Prowler salvage variant, because I don't know. I
think that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, anything salvage would be cool to me.
That would track with the last 2 weeks of sneak peeks from the subscriber newsletter. One of them was like the underside of the Prowler, and then the other one just is a Prowler.
People are thinking that it will be anti-storm, so it's like a pay to win thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Which wouldn't put
what I would
past
hope
me.
it is now that we've got drop ships, having like a ship that can drop Iktis or something would be cool. Like designed for those. The Prowler, I don't like the regular Prowler. I don't know if it would be big enough in the center. So, but one thing I am kind of hoping for, and they mention it during the second last paragraph here. Another unannounced vehicle passed the Swapbox review following minor adjustments to one of its key mechanics. The implication of that, and I have disappeared again. I'm back. The implication of that is that...
I'm trying to fix my mic, sorry.
Yeah, all good. The implication is that it's not like flight mechanics related, probably. It's likely not related to things like turrets, I would imagine. They're all pretty locked in. What I'm hoping for is they've gone really, really hard with lots of laser weapons recently. We had all the parallax weapons. Then we got the one on the Idris. I'm hoping this is some big laser weapon mechanic. Or, and this is like super out there, a radiation mechanic. Now that radiation can affect players, I would love to see like a ship have like a rad weapon of some kind that's like part distortion or something. I don't know, but that's probably pie in the sky.
Yeah, and I didn't notice that, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Gameplay mechanic was mentioned specifically. Gameplay. I'm looking for
the
it.
thing that I just said.
Yeah.
So it's the second last paragraph. Another unannounced vehicle passed its white box review following minor adjustments to one of its key mechanics.
Key mechanics. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything on that. But the reason I was saying two things for Alien Week was this.
Mm-hmm.
That they're doing something in the white box phase, particularly around cockpit entry requirements.
Yeah.
I was like,
what does that mean?
Well, the alien ships usually have unique cockpit entries, so I thought maybe something like that. But yeah,
it will receive entirely new enter and exit animations.
Yeah,
something really done to this level.
Yeah, it feels alien, right? So
that does feel super alien.
Yeah, so that's the thing that I was like, I think we'll get a concept. I think we'll get a ship that is flyable, and the Drake Ironclad was mentioned.
Yes, as still getting worked on, basically.
Yeah. Our big rectangle. Is still taking time.
Same with the Pioneer too. I do like that they're mentioning that. I still think it's going to be a while till we see it. Probably not till like end of next year. And they also talk about the Perseus again as well, which is relevant, especially because if you scroll down, if you scroll down into core gameplay. Sorry, no, the Polaris. They mentioned the Apollo, right?
Apollo, but not the Apollo itself, just the med beds, because they want the tier 1, 2, and 3s to look different, so you could tell the difference between them before you get in them visually.
Yeah, which they seem to have an image of that. So in the core gameplay section, when they're talking about medical beds healing radiation, this appears to be the Apollo.
Oh, I did not catch that.
You can see RSI on the
right there. Yeah. Sneak peek there. Woohoo. Nice. That's an actual sneak peek.
Yeah. So you can also tell though it's still very, or at least seems to be very low poly. If you look at the overhead of behind
it looks like clay
bed and stuff. Exactly. Yeah. So it's still likely a very long time away at minimum, IE. But
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's cool. Good catch. Do we go to core gameplay?
Yeah. So then core gameplay. Yeah. So most of core gameplay is stuff that we've been experiencing over the course of the last little while in 4.2. They do mention engineering again. The way that they talk about engineering in this, it has to have been completely reworked from what we experienced last year. It's now been
what we experienced or what we saw.
Yeah. What we played in the
that was so basic. Yeah, I mean that was so basic. Yeah. That was so all that was really to get was like, how do you like how quickly the stuff is dying? How did repair feel? Like it was so basic in comparison to
it was also
what they're planning on delivering.
Running around putting fuses in.
Yeah.
Was kind of the entire gameplay.
Yeah. Because the repair barely worked for a while.
Yeah.
As well. So I wouldn't call it reworked.
It might just be drastically different in like other ways.
Just period. Right? I think it'll just feel very different. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's all getting worked on. We still have yet to see us playing that. When are we getting the tech preview? To go back to Year of Stability, one of the things was we would be seeing more tech preview.
Yeah,
6 months.
I mean, they mentioned at that German CitizenCon thing that we would be seeing it, and a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people put out a lot of what I would consider misinformation around that. It was going to be in 4.2, and it was like, guys, like it is a separate thing. It's not connected. The whole point is it's not connected to 4.2. So there's no timeline of when it happens. It just happens. So yeah, I don't. Okay. So don't do that, people. Don't listen to stuff like that. It'll come when it comes, but where is it? Is a good question still.
Yeah. Control surfaces are progressing, is essentially what one paragraph in there is. Still good to know about, but obviously we want to see it soon. And then, yeah, it's sort of mostly just like, hey, here's stuff coming with the new patch. They do also, once again, though, mention an upcoming global event. Worth noting, Hathor, not a global event. This that we're doing right now
Stormbreaker.
in Para 1, Stormbreaker,
Yeah.
not a global event. Global event is more like Supply or Die,
Yep.
or Xeno
Fight for
Threat, all those sorts of
Pyro.
events from before.
Yeah.
Yep. This, I imagine, is going to be what they're talking about with like August is going to be crazy. Like these next 2 months after this patch are probably going to lead into a global event, I'm imagining, based on the way they're talking.
Yeah, don't believe their lies though. It probably won't be that crazy. Let's be honest.
Yep.
It'll be fun though.
Locations was a really, really small paragraph, but
I
has
skipped
weird
it
implications.
entirely. So
yeah, because it's small. They're not saying much, but that's what I'm curious about. So they say the devs are looking forward to releases in July and August, which once again goes along with what they were saying on ISC, alongside updates to Wicklow. Now, why would the locations team be working on Wicklow stuff? Is why I'm curious.
I mean, you can huff on the copium a little bit and think it's going to be a big change if you want, or you could just think lighting changes.
But then that'd be in the lighting changes right above it, Mike.
Yeah, or adding more of the signs to it. It could be minor stuff.
Yeah, it could be some minor stuff. It could be like some facelifts.
Don't forget there was also an update to Wicklow's room. There's a second floor now. They could be referencing that. So I hope it's, you're huffing a little bit, and I hope you're right.
Yeah, of course.
But it could go the other way as well. Also, DJ mad at us that we glanced over transport and scanning stuff, but they want to make transport more reliable.
Cool. Please do. I also want transport to be more reliable. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's also just it's not sexy. Like, who cares? It's a thing that we 100% need, and it's a thing that I will complain about. But if you say you're working on it, it's just like, yeah, right.
If you don't talk about it, it's probably because it's not that bad. And transit is not that bad at the moment, right? Like it kind of works.
It's been mostly working,
yeah. So the fact that you're not talking about it is a good thing.
Yeah. One thing that has been working at the PTU at the stations has been the tram for the most part until today, when the tram, it didn't like glitch out like desync, but I thought it was desyncing. No, the path of the tram is glitched and it sends you out like this forever. You're not desyncing. It's not like the old school, like, oh, I must be 30K'ing. Because everything else is moving perfectly fine. This was at one of the Lazarus complexes.
Oh, okay.
So it came in as if it was starting to come in, and then it was like, actually, I want to go this way now. Flew a completely different way. I was in the Ikti at the time, so I was actually able to jump off, and I jumped off where it was. And then I noticed it reversed into where it's supposed to pick you up. Like it just went into a completely different place for some reason. But anyway,
he was drunk.
That was like a pathing issue or something. Yeah,
that one was drunk on radiation. It's fine.
Yeah.
Narrative, they talked a lot about story plans for next year already.
Yeah.
Hate that. Hate to see that, to be honest with you. Hate it.
I mean, story plans you would plan out that far ahead.
I know, but I'm the one who sees all the worst in everything. And when I read that, I read another year of this bullshit, no features, story garbage that I am enjoying for minutes, but not days and hours and years and that kind of stuff, right? So
I mean, fair. I think that's not an unreasonable take from that. Is that could mean that?
Now they could do both story and give features next year, but let's be honest.
Yeah.
They can't. So it's like, are you really planning on doing a patch every month again next year? Part of me thinks they really like how this helped them financially, and they don't really care how long it's going to take. And
Yep.
I like, again, I'm just having all the like most negative feelings about this, and I don't want to, but how can I not when it's been the history of so long? Is if like they find something that works for making money, they will keep doing it. And if we don't complain about it, or we don't say like, hey, where's base building, where's crafting, where's the game, you know, it can get frustrating. Like, the stories are nice. I've actually really enjoyed them. They've made a lot of money because of this, because they're consistently delivering updates and keeping people in the game, keeping people interested in their game, which means they're probably going to spend their money on their game, right? So it is working in many ways, but there's one big piece of that puzzle that's not working. They're not making the game, right? So at some point they have to do that. And when I see that, I go, oh, they're not planning on doing it. And I'm like, oh no, like I thought we were only going to do this for 1 year, right?
The way that I read that at the bare minimum is like, or at least like as much as I'm sort of willing to speculate on, I guess, is like, yeah, the storylines have been good and they've been interesting, and I do want them to do more of that, right? And yeah, you're right. Like it could mean a lot of bad stuff for like release cadence and more delays on features next year. But I would more read into that maybe when we get in like another couple of months. Honestly, CitizenCon will probably be the telling of like if that's the case going a little bit forward.
Yeah, like I don't want to think that way. I don't, but it's like it's the first thing that came to my mind. Somewhere there was a mention of like tier 1. I think it's in core gameplay.
Oh yes, yeah. They do. I saw. I don't remember.
I don't
which
know where
dev,
though.
I saw one dev go like, "See guys, we do talk about tier 1."
Yeah. Oh, for one sentence, please.
Oh yeah. Item recovery is currently progressing with tasks for tier 1 progressing.
Great.
Okay.
Also, like lots of people said, don't like tier 1. Can we just go straight to tier 2, please? Lots of people said that.
Can you remind me what the difference between 0 and 1 is?
Nope, can't remember. I just remember people going that they didn't like it. I will take a moment and try and find it, but it was tier 1. I cannot remember. But I remember tier 2 was like you can literally take their stuff and turn it into material is kind of where they want to push you to, because you're going to lose it eventually. But tier 1, I can't remember why, like what this middle ground was, and it felt very muddy and weird. That's all I remember about it. But I'll take a look. Let me try and find it.
While you're taking a look, the last thing in the monthly report that I thought was very cool, but caused Mike to crash out before the podcast, was the last line in the UI. So they talk about like the Mirai UI and all that sort of stuff. And then the last line, visual prototypes were also worked on for some interesting but currently confidential 3D interactive UIs to replace one of the older systems in the game, which I am imagining is going to be the vehicle loadout manager that we saw at SitCon 23. I think it was 23. Actually, no, it might have been the last. No, I think it was 22. I think it was the last online one. Because I remember they did that video that showed a bunch of stuff, and one of them was like a person on like a.
That was an ISC
3D interactive UI.
Yep.
Was it?
Yeah, because they also showed us the 3D UI that comes up around our hangars.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it was all in that one ISC.
Right.
So yeah, I do have the post for item recovery. This was actually not from Jared. It was from Xylo. My bad. Tier 1. Let me bring it up on the screen. Tier 1. Players can register their equipped items, which can be reclaimed for a fee at specific kiosks. This will also add ships to this. So now taking tier 0 and essentially adding it to ships is also a thing. Looting and bricked items. Once an item is looted, it remains usable until the original owner reclaims it or marks it stolen. This is the dead man switch start.
Right.
That's what it is. And it just literally just makes an item you loot worthless. But it
after a while, not immediately.
Yeah, but I don't think this has the turn it into like salvage aspect of it, and then you get the salvage aspect in tier 2.
Notably, very important at the end of tier 1. You will not respawn with your preserved gear already equipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. So you could sell it, is what somebody says in chat. Enjoy the selling mechanic in the game, right? So that's not something you would want to do. I would agree if they actually focused on, the interactions that you have in the video game. That would be cool. But they don't. So you really can't sell it. You sell for incredibly cheap of the value of the item, and you have to click 7,000 times to sell 15 items. It's not an okay experience, and
it makes it not worth looting. Like if you're gonna have to go through all those hassles.
Which is exactly why I will rant about the 3D UI. That is a UI bottleneck, 100%. Yet they're working on a 3D UI instead of something that is very clearly needs to be a priority for tier 1 item recovery and tier 2 item recovery, is our interactions with these kiosks on the selling side of things is horrible. Horrible.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I was like, in what way?
Every aspect of it is bad.
UI problem. That is a UI problem. Yeah.
Every aspect of it is bad. There is zero good pieces of the selling puzzle other than it existing. And I remember when they came out and said, they're selling in the game, by the way, guys. And it's like, okay, legally, sure. But like to any standard anybody would like accept, no. It is one of the worst experiences in the game, period. And that's why nobody complains about it, because complains about the prices of what things sell for when they salvage, because they wouldn't do it anyway, because it's such a bad experience. And that's why it's not being prioritized, probably because nobody's complaining about it.
I remember when that came out, it was either just after or maybe it was just before, but salvage would come out around the same time, and weapon salvage on ships had become a thing. I was so excited to go out, salvage a bunch of Panthers, and try to make money that way, because that's a really cool aspect that I like about salvaging.
It's a sandbox activity.
Theoretically, it is a sandbox activity, but it's also the variations. It's you can scrap, you can crunch, or you can you get modules.
It's part of salvage,
modules. And then they just sold for nothing. I was like,
because
that wasn't worth it at all.
Because a bunch of dorks were in their hangar taking their stuff off and reclaiming their ship.
Yeah.
And instead of fixing the problem, we got another Band-Aid solution. And here we are with 15 Band-Aid solutions. And then you tack tier 0 and tier 1 and tier 2 on top of it. And the game's not going to feel good. And that's what's happening. It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating, because then you get 3D UI and you get these storylines and these other things. And it's how many of these people could be addressing these issues? And that's where I want to get into the year of stability, because it's not just the year of stability, it's the year of quality of life as well. So I will bring up the post and I will do a little bit of reading, because I think it is relevant. The title of the post and who this person is replying to is "The servers are dying again," and they were earlier this week, right? There were some weird queues to get into it and everything. And he goes, yes, but that's not really what you're asking about. This is where he gets into it. Okay. He goes, "You're concerned about the frustrating experiences that are occurring due to gameplay bugs and performance issues. I can't really comment on the prioritization of gameplay issues. It's not what he works on, so totally fine. He's a server guy. Performance, I can comment on a bit, since I'm on the team that helps out with that process. Fixes for performance issues are something that is iterative, one of the fancy words. It takes a lot of slow and steady work over time. We do performance captures for every single PTU build and public environment multiple times to provide our developers with the information they need to investigate and implement performance fixes. However, fixing performance issues is much like the peeling back the layers of an onion. When one performance issue is fixed, the next worst one usually arises. to take its place and limits the efficacy of that fix that went into place. Sometimes getting big performance gains requires new tech or complete rewrites of old systems, and there's definitely some of that still going on. I think a good example of that would be transit, right? But even those new systems are going to have their own iterative performance work that has to happen. All probably true statements, right? Of course. No one's going to call this guy a liar, but especially at the beginning, you're probably...
No, the game works perfectly. It's we know that for a fact.
You're probably frustrated about gameplay bugs and performance issues. Yes. So when I posed the question about the year of stability, that's, and again, why I said at the beginning, and this is what we hope you guys are going to call into the show to talk about, is specifically around the idea of not just from the launch of 4.0 to now, but how do you feel when you're in the game right now? Like, if your initiative is to stabilize things, fix bugs, quality of life stuff, what would you give them on their report card right now? I don't think many people in the community would give them a really good score unless they were going, right based off of the launch of 4.0. Like if Star Citizen started in 4.0, then they would have probably like a B, right? Yeah. But as far as what they would get from like the overall Star Citizen experience over all the years, it would be not a very high passing score. They're definitely fixing a lot of things, right? I think one thing we didn't talk about was swapping items, like armor and stuff that just came in Friday's patch. That's a nice thing. But I mean, we have tier 0 item recovery. You're never even going to use it anyway. So it's one of those maybe priorities for tier 1 that we talked about. All that stuff is good. Lots of things that they did were good. But when you read the letter from the chairman, when you watched the 3-hour-long SCL with Jared and Benoit, if we told you that you would be on PTU servers with 2 FPS in June, would you believe me? You would call me a negative person. You would say all those things, right? I don't think you would believe me. I think you would have believed that they would have focused 100% on this. No distractions. Things would have been better. And maybe not just on the performance side on the servers. Like, have they fixed, like, guys, we still have quantum travel bugs. We still have all sorts of issues that these are the things that we would have hoped they would have dealt with and that we wanted to see improved. There are no wrong answers to how you feel about this. None. You could feel that they have an A. You could feel they have an F, and anywhere in between, and you would be correct because it's just the way you feel, what your expectations were, and how they set them. For me, it's not very high. But how do you feel, Croncy, on this kind of stuff?
I do actually feel pretty good, but it's like overall, I don't know if I would give him an A, but in my head, I'm comparing it to like before server meshing, server meshing's been in since what, 3.24 technically, but it's like 4.0 is the patch of server meshing, is the patch of pyro, and then everything afterwards. And then seeing how, kind of like what you said before, seeing how bad it was on 4.0 release and how much infinitely better it has been in the last like few months. Is like really, really solid. But that is just a performance.
Even if you just use the word stability, how many 30Ks have you experienced on this PTU? Right? None.
Well, I do not crash out. Sorry, I crash out when I talk. I have not crashed in Star Citizen in a while. For like whether it's a server disconnection or whatever else. And that's been heavily improved. The stuff that doesn't feel like it's been improved has been the gameplay bugs.
Yeah. Absolutely, because these guys are focused on the silly story stuff. And if they were going to, and again, and I think they are because they were making a lot of money off of it. And I'm not going to sit here and say I do not want them to make money. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't like the fact that they're putting a patch out every month. I absolutely do. But there are consequences to doing those things. And these are some of those consequences, it feels like. I think we need to make sure when you talk about, when we say the year of stability, it's the same thing as saying flight blades when we were talking about bomb racks, turrets, and flight blades. Selling gameplay. That's what Flight Blades meant when we were talking about that. Year of stability is the combination of all the things that were said in that letter from the chairman and on that podcast with Jared and Benoit, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I'm asking you guys to have these discussions. If you want to just talk about stability, they get an A, because there have been almost no crashes on the servers. Now, if you want to talk about server frame rate, that's an entirely different thing. And there was a specific moment when that like changed, because I think even if you came to me and you post 4.1 or pre 4.1, we would have given it a much higher score. The moment Hathor came out, something happened. Yeah. Something changed, and they scrambled 7 servers here, 3 over there. It was never split 5-5. It wasn't one extra server over here where we think it's a little bit busy. It was overwhelmingly an issue that they were trying to figure out and never did. Yeah. And here we are. So, and now we're 5-5 again on the PTU. But I don't know. I really don't know. It just doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I certainly, to put a cap at least on my thoughts, I certainly feel better. I certainly feel more positive than negative about how far they've done so far this year. But it's not like...
Sure.
It's not like if it finished here, like if tomorrow was the end of the year, I would be pissed off, if that makes sense, right?
Of course. Yeah, this is our halfway, like if you were in January and you know, future Croncy was able to come back and show you what you were experiencing, would you be happy? Probably, because you couldn't get out of your elevator. That's the like mentality that I'm trying to avoid here.
You've loaded the game? Damn. Let's go.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, it's kind of tough, but yeah. All right. You want to get to some callers?
Yeah, let's do it. And if you want to call in future in Answer the Call, you can go to the link below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can go into Mike's chat on Twitch and go !podcast, follow the link, hop into the green room, and we'll pull you into some waiting rooms. Looks like we are full at the moment today. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. And our first caller is RingoShonen. Ringo, welcome.
How you doing, Ringo?
Howdy.
How we doing?
Howdy.
Doing all right. Let's see. Stability.
Let's talk about it.
What?
Going from what you started with at the beginning, like when I first started compared to now, which I think was 315. As someone who's mostly only been doing bunker runs, hey, people don't get stuck in the elevators anymore or the spawn closets, so I can actually complete bunker missions.
Have you been to Stormbreaker?
True.
But I can't even get out of Area 18.
I was really hoping somebody brought this up. There is some serious issues in 4.1, and I'm not sure about 4.2. People cannot leave their home locations right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of freight elevators.
Mine's not CIG related; it's computer related.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I can't.
There's CIG related issues here.
Oh, good. No, my problem is I don't have enough RAM. Apparently, 64 gigs isn't enough, so I have to sit and stand at the tram for 30 minutes before my computer decides to load the tram car in, so I can.
There's something else going on there, brother. I played Star Citizen on a laptop yesterday. That is not. You have something very unique going on. Yeah,
I can still steal people's backpacks in not contested zones, public zones, because their backpack will load before the character model does, and it just falls on the ground and rolls. And if I'm not wearing a backpack, I can pick it up. And I was in a friends group, and like 15 minutes later, they go to access their backpack. I'm like, where the hell did my backpack go? I'm like, oh, I'm wearing it. They're like, how?
So Star Citizen isn't pay to win, just have a bad computer. I mean, it sounds like he has a good computer, but he's having some weird issues.
Yeah.
Are you playing on a hard drive and not an SSD?
Maybe that could be the thing.
It was on a hard drive back in 315. I'm on an M.2 now, so a 970 Evo.
Yeah, like that shouldn't be a problem.
But like,
you just got a special account.
Yeah. Oh yeah, special ed maybe. Mike, you do like big trades with Quantanium, right?
Yes.
How? There's no trade window in the game.
You don't need a trade window. You have
Yeah.
a freight elevator. So how
Right,
freight
and
elevators
whoever,
work?
whoever sends down the freight elevator gets the items.
Yeah, so I hold the stuff, I bring it up, and then they send it down.
Yep.
So what happens if they shoot you once it's going up, and then they could just take it for themselves and send it
They
down?
pay us first.
So
Yeah.
like, would you prefer there to be like a trade window in this game?
Obviously. Yes, of course. Of course, contracts, trade windows, anything other than what we have now. We just work with what we have, right? I'm not going to sit here and just do missions all day. That's boring.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm more of a fan of two different types of like trading. So the way that what Mike does, where he's selling like Quantanium or whatever, that I would prefer to be like a contract, where it's like, yeah, it's a mission that maybe you can accept, or like works like a mission at least mechanically, that you can accept, where you have to pay money and then you can just come and get it, right? But then I would also like, you know, if I go to Area 18, I would like to have a UI that's got like, you know, here is Mike selling this, and I can purchase it.
Or marketplace.
Yeah, kind of like more like a marketplace. I want both of those things to exist.
Yeah, 100%. We're just working with the shit that we have, and it works somewhat well, so we're going with it.
And it's just one of those things where it's like you have an MMO, but we have like no trading, and the party system sucks.
Yeah.
Talking about that, the whole PvP versus PvE thing. First off, no, don't split the servers. If you want, get a region that's mostly PvE, like high sec security, but don't split the servers. But in addition, the problem is that most of the PvP doesn't involve PvPers. It's PvEers killing each other, paranoid that each other is a PvPer. Like you, when you're doing your worm hunt, you see someone, you shoot them, and then you say, hey, I'm actually friendly, even though I just blasted your nuts off. I promise I didn't mean to do that in malicious intent. And oh, whoops, voice over IP doesn't work. They don't hear you say that. So you get them up, they start shooting you again, and oh my god, these PvPers are too much.
True.
They need to have some sort of like if I start the mission, like even a basic bunker mission, like have it queue up, wait for like 4 people to accept it, force them into a party, and then like people can start getting used to working together, so PvEers would be less paranoid around other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple it is multiple problems that like confound the whole thing, that has to do with like there being a lack of features in the game that like assist it. There was it's being confounded right now, obviously, because of the Stormbreaker event. Sorry, activity. Don't kill me. There was a suggestion that someone sent me today, where like it'd be really, really good if for activities like this, let's say you go and do it, you hand in the egg, now you make it that the trams don't activate for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, lots of people.
You get a little bit of respite. It kind of like it, without actually instancing the area, it turns it into an instance.
I like that.
We need more things like that, because it does two really good things. One, it doesn't take away from the spirit of like the idea of this game being a
sandbox,
being a sandbox,
complete.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And that's cool. It also means like you still can fight to get to the egg. There's still that aspect to it. Once you do get rid of that other team, though, now you have like 10 minutes. You can chill, but then you're still on a timer. You're still fighting this. You can take that, maybe not to Hathor, but like maybe to the CZs. There's ways to work that in for certain aspects, because I still want CZs to be mostly PvP. But any of these like new features that people are complaining about being, hey, this PvE thing is PvP, I think there are small solutions they can do right now that would help it quite drastically.
Yeah.
It's just astounding to me that I can walk around in a GTA Online server amongst other players and they don't immediately shoot me, but I show up in a Star Citizen server and everyone shoots me out of paranoia.
I don't play GTA. Is there a consequence when you actually die?
No, not in GTA Online.
No.
So literally anyone can kill you, and it's not that big of a deal unless you're doing like a cell mission, which is like you spend half an hour setting up a cell mission and then someone can kill you and run the whole thing. But like normally GTA was like the griefer game. And then Star Citizen comes out, and now like everyone seems like proper gentlemen, and they didn't change their behavior at all in GTA.
Yeah.
They'll just
Well,
wait 20 seconds
I-
before they shoot
yeah.
you.
I did go to a Lazarus station today where no one shot anyone, which was very interesting.
That was me yesterday. Today was the opposite.
Yep.
I got killed a lot today.
there's still some people out there like that. But my last point on the topic will be though that they did mention last year during SitCon we want and this was before Year of Stability, but they were like, we want big push, party UI, party gameplay, make it so it is easier to group up. That stuff, if it ever comes to fruition,
There was some mention
will
of that
reduce
this
a lot
week.
of the friction.
Social something in either the month report or somewhere. It was mentioned somewhere this week.
Yeah.
So
There was
maybe.
one thing I think in the monthly report. There wasn't that, but it is still relevant to the topic, which is they said that they understand there is a misbalance between lawful and unlawful players.
This was when talking about the specifically the Mantis, though. Like it's with Mantis interdiction. So yes, but I think they might be talking specifically on that subject. I'll bring it up. I got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll quickly look for it because I think the Mantis was, but when they mentioned the Mantis in the monthly report, it was mostly about it not super working with server meshing.
Correct. And then immediately after is the quote, which is always referencing the thing above it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So they need the tools to be able to contend with each other. So I think that what they're talking about is we understand that quantum interdiction doesn't work. That sucks. But we also want to make sure that the person who's getting interdicted can maybe avoid getting it interdicted. That's how I read that one. So, yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I still like it as a statement. I just hope they live by it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. They say lots of things that we hope they live by. So we'll see. But Ringo, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Because we do have a lot of callers, so we don't want to hold on the first one too long.
Just real quick, 5 seconds of last answers and all that jazz. Like, everyone talked about the whole tier 0, tier 1 item recovery. Technically, ships have always had tier 0 item recovery the whole time, because if me and you both go in a contested zone, I get first-person player loot, you get grade A stealth loot. Both of us get it back to our respective bases. You fly your stealth grade ship, and I go with my scorch gear or tweaker gear. And then when we would die, I lost my gear. You reclaim your ship, you keep yours. So, like, when tier 0 came out, a bunch of people were like, well, now it's even at least. So now we on the ground get tier 0, just like the ships do. But also, like, Mike has experienced multiple times. I've seen it. Like, oh, dude, I'm out of ammo. Hey, I'll take this guy's. Oh, I can't. Guess I'll die.
Yeah.
I'd also argue ships used to be a bit more like what it sounds like they want tier 1 to be, because at least you had to wait for your ships to come back at the bare minimum, right?
I mean, no one wants a respawn timer on death. Like, oh, okay, well, you died. You can respawn here at Lazarus, but you got to wait 45 seconds.
I don't know.
If that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I also
don't know if I'd like that. But,
a lot of people argued that the old way of ships is dupe mechanics, as well as tons of other problems that need to go away. So it's not even evening anything out. It's just another silly band-aid for bad game design and bad game stuff, and perpetuating that more and more in this game will perpetuate the length of time between now and release. Keep doing it.
Yeah. So, closing statement then. I don't know if you guys want a game where a guy can come back in 30 seconds and fight you again because you want a PvP against him, or when you get rid of a guy, do you want him gone for 5 minutes? Don't know. That's up to you guys and how the game comes out. All I'm going to say is, as the most dedicated medical player, I just want the Apollo to come out so people stop using the thumbnails and then never talk about it in the video. Mike, you don't do this, thankfully, but I can think of like 8 other people. It's like, oh boy, the Apollo's in the thumbnail. And then it's like, oh yeah, and the Apollo went out of white box. And then 40 other minutes of the video is not about it.
Oh, really?
That's all.
Okay, yeah. I
You don't do it, so don't worry.
Yeah.
I only talk about good ships.
Nice.
Oh, God.
That's where we got to leave Ringo so he doesn't go after us. All right, Ringo, be good, man.
Cheers, Ringo.
Bye now.
See you.
All right. Our next caller is my favorite, I'm being sarcastic, member of my Discord community. Abe. What's up, Abe?
You are currently muted, Abe.
Oh, wrong person.
Hello.
Hello, Abe.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing, guys?
We're
Can you
good.
hear
We're
me?
good. Yes, we hear you
we can
fine. Abe, I'm not
I,
leaving because you're on the call. I'm leaving because I have to pee. I can hear you though, so go ahead.
yeah, just take your time. I don't mind it. I'll be doing it anyway, just walking around the room, salting Omega Salt. Anyway, uh, about playability. So,
Mhm.
I didn't play too much this year. I played around 20 days, 3 to 6 hour daily. For me, at least, major issues with the inventory, the ASOP, losing your ship to the ASOP, taking stuff out of in your backpack, like pulling a key card to put it into the slot. That
Yep.
was insane for me. It was brutal. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
like
been a lot of similar to, like, it's kind of convenient. Well, actually, it's not good, but in that post that Mike showed, that the person wasn't talking about gameplay problems, because it does sound like that is honestly the majority of the problems the community has this year. So like in terms of like actual server performance, how has that felt for you at least? Like how is that half? Because there's like two halves of the same coin,
look,
right?
Croncy,
Yeah.
I
How's
don't
that
know
half
if
felt?
it's even about servers, to be honest. Like sometimes I would have a great server, like doors opening, and NPCs working, and you still the inverter is scuffed. So I don't know if it's even
Yeah, that's what I'm
server. Like
saying.
if we're
So like
talking about
that's exactly
4.1,
what I'm
like
saying there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
that server
yeah.
was
So
working really well for you, and so the
yeah,
stability
so I
of
don't
that
know.
has gone up.
Your
The
inventory
actual
doesn't have to do with
gameplay
the
that is
server.
affected by bugs has not. Yeah.
Yeah, necessarily. It's just bad.
So the issue is we're talking stability, playability here. I don't want to say stability. The game, there's less 30Ks. I had zero 30K the entire 20 days. But
Yeah.
when talking about playability, man, I don't see any huge progress in these stuff like ASOP, inventory. Like when you say ASOP, losing your ship to ASOP, this is so crucial when you talk about you want to extend claim timer. So if you're losing your ship to ASOP, how are you going to do that? So, like, I know we're 6 months in, and there is still 6 months, but I'm sorry, I don't see any huge progress in that. I think they should do a balance maybe next year when they can. Personal, I believe not a lot of engineers working on Star Citizen. We saw Sitcon Squadron demo on how it crashed. I think a lot of people working Squadron. So maybe next year would have more engineers working in the game. You would think, you would hope actually that CIG would think 2 steps ahead and they would believe or plan that Star Citizen must be more playable before Squadron. So hopefully they do something. I'm not saying it's in the worst case possible, but man, inventory issues, database, stuff in your backpack, out of your backpack, ASOP stuff are insane, are brutal. I can't just, for example, I can't come to my friend and invite him to the game when these stuff exists. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Like, oh,
You-
hey, you have a ship. Oh, you can't spawn it, by the way. See you next
Yeah.
patch. Like, that's unacceptable at this point. 6 months into the year of, I know we should call it playability and not stability, because that was part of the conversation. Stability is a part of playability, right? I don't want to say they nailed it, because 4.2 does not feel like they did, but and neither did Hathor, right? But overall, again, 0 crashes, like everyone's mentioned so far. 0, like almost none. That has been fantastic. You want to praise them for what, the good stuff, but there's obviously been lots and lots of other problems. And it's like, come on.
You brought up a really good point, Abe. Squadron 42 is presumably, if they've been telling the truth, content complete. And you would imagine that a lot of like gameplay bug fixes are going on right now with Squadron, right, to make it ready for release. That would then make a lot more sense in my mind as to why, after they release server meshing, all the like server stuff has been going pretty solid. We've had like 700-person servers that have been working okay, but not gameplay features. Like the gameplay bugs aren't getting fixed at the same rate, if that makes sense. It does track.
Yeah, just my argument is, but I would expect that to start happening in 2026. I would imagine they, nailed it when it comes to Squadron, and have more space with Star Citizen, and you would expect that they want Star Citizen in good state. So the people who want to join Squadron will try the MMO. That's my point.
Can I jump in?
CIG would have a 5-head mood.
Yeah, like I'll jump in here just for a second, because I don't think you're wrong at all, Abe, in the fact that like most of the engineers and people are actually probably working on Squadron 42. You don't have to look too deep into the monthly report to know that most of the things written are not happening in Star Citizen. They just are happening in another magical world that doesn't seem to exist, because it's probably Squadron, right? Especially when you look at the AI stuff and the so like you're probably right, but my question is like, they set an expectation and they said things, and why do I have to know the project inside and out and know that there's this other game that they're probably working on, when they straight up like just come on camera and say that the people who would be working on Star Citizen features are going to be working on Star Citizen bug fixes, and the expectation is, hey, a lot of those bugs that I find to be really annoying are gonna get squashed this patch, because they're finally prioritizing that, where it was just next feature, and the bugs piled up. This was a situation where we would hopefully see the bugs disappearing. And while we're seeing some of them disappearing, we're seeing stability getting better, right? Are we seeing enough? Did they meet your expectations from that talk and that letter from the chairman? And again, think back to the moment you read that. Did the first thing you think of was they're lying to me and they're just on Squadron 42? Or have you come to that conclusion gradually over time like the rest of us have, right? That's more where I'm at, is like, I'm so sick and tired of them saying they're going to do something and then never doing it.
Yeah, but you would think that just before Squadron, they must do something about it. This must materialize. What I mean is,
but why do I have to think?
Should be in a good state.
Why do I have to think? Why can't I just listen and
I agree
hear?
with you. That's fair.
I'm tired of having to
agree with you, but
I liked when you brought up expectations. The way that I saw the Year of Stability is like, fixing some old bugs, which they've been doing a little bit of, but then with things like CZs started in 4.0. One of the biggest problems that we always had was the keycards, just like breaking every which way,
or the doors,
exploitation, the doors
breaking every way.
Right?
Still going on, by the way.
Yeah, my Year of Stability expectation would have been like, all right, cool. I know that new stuff is going to break, but that would be fixed faster.
Yep.
Right. That stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, damn, dude, I went up to a CZ right before the podcast. The door was broken still. It's just like, oh, come on, why?
Yeah.
Right, and it's like that doesn't feel like the Year of Stability.
You will never find anything Ghost Halo, but I mean in Ghost Arena, because it's exploited. Everybody going through the doors, and timers are always full. That sucks.
Yeah. It's not good.
About content, I would just
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I said it's not good.
About content. About content, I was so concerned when they said it is the year of content, and to say that in the month, the letter on the Sherman, I was so concerned that they're gonna do a classic CS timed event. I'm glad they are doing permanent content, these sandbox activities. I'm glad they are permanent. I like them. They are so cool. I hope they keep up with this. Like, each one of them, they are progressing so much with it. Like, you're now seeing new ways to open doors. Maybe next we're going to see charges and hacking on and opening doors. You're seeing a mini game within a game, like the radiation thing. And there is no ships above you, and there is a storm. So hopefully they can go with this more and go forward, but it's just as long as it works. So I really like it.
And this location are just like such a step above the foundations, which was essentially CZs. Like they when they work, of course, they took that element and like really made it like more enjoyable each time. It does bring up a thing though. I need people to know that these are sandbox and are staying in the game. We had a lot of comments on the ATC last week about people saying like, I hate that they keep making these timed events. They're not. They're permanent.
Well, I think
very important to know that.
To be fair to them, I think they felt like a timed event because they removed the Karenite and script from the Wicklow thing. because that makes it feel like it's time then, right? But yeah, so, obviously a fair statement, Croncy, but I think that's why they might be feeling that way.
Fair.
And obviously they fixed that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now about the PVE PvP thing, I don't. I
okay.
think the whole argument, the whole con was just so silly. Because it depends on two factors. It is server resources and instancing, and none of them exist, and none of them are like viable in terms like hear this for example. They have 24 Lazarus facilities, 12 on Pyro 1 and 12 on Pyro 5. And you would think that these number of facilities to avoid people, all centering or getting into one location to prevent extreme PvP. And these already 12 are cooking the servers, and they can't just go further with that. They already have a server for Pyro 1 and server for Pyro 5. I mean, they can't have more than one server for each planet. They never tested that before. So, and they don't have instancing. They say they want to have instancing, and even ironically, there is the Chinese bar citizen Aaron Robert interview have been released into Bilibili. Like he said, we want instancing. We're looking forward to this. I know you don't care about what he says, but he said that this is kind of
nothing
close.
he has ever said, literally nothing that man has ever said has come true when he has said it in public.
He said he liked me once.
Aaron Roberts, yeah, like it is just like, guys, it's just the history of him. It has been 100% of the time. If he has said it publicly, it has not come true. Like if he has said it at a bar citizen, it has not happened. So that, like, it's not about I don't care. It's just he told me mining was coming when I was playing 2.5.1. He told me mining was coming, right? Like soon. Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
Like him and I had a conversation at Gamescom, just him and I in private, that it was coming soon. Like making it seem like it was happening.
High school back then.
Yeah, it was 2016, making it sound like it was coming real soon. And then we had a year without a single patch. So I just
Man,
don't.
I'm so happy I did not play the game back then. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
one full year without a single patch. And I like him a lot. It's just the history of it. It's funny. It's just don't believe his lies, even though they might not be lies.
Regardless of what Aaron said, I do think they do want instances because it was a big part of their presentation.
But he just said that they're coming soon. Abe just said that he said they're coming soon. I don't believe that shit.
My point is not believing him, but I think CIG would focus on that. I'm not saying they're working on it, but I think they want that.
They want it for sure because they're tired of complaining about each other.
Yeah.
They're tired of it, right? Of course they would want it. How great would Siege of Orison be with instancing? Be perfect, right?
Oh, great.
Yeah. They just have to use it in the right situations and not in others, and then we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. The whole PvP, PvE convo, the whole discussion would be end if we had more location, like hundreds of location or instances. And like, let's forget about that. Like, let's look at the Virgil post. Like, he mentioned something gold about that just wait a month and you will be able to do it solo. I mean, personally, I went daily to Hathor, daily, and enjoyed my time. Never been able to finish it. I was never able to have the org to do it, but I enjoy my time looting, collecting key cards, farming the boards, and so on. So people gonna wait, and I think a lot of people will be burnt out and done with it, and a lot of people will be able to participate in. So yeah, this whole thing, it's a meta. It's non-stopping. Like every major batch, every time they add such a thing, there will be this controversy. I think it's an instancing argument. It's a server meshing argument. Till they figure this out, I don't think we will have more of this discussion more.
No,
so,
I mean it'll just
keep
going. No, can't think much. It's been that we haven't said 100 times, right? It's just a matter of they have, but the only thing that they have to do something about it, right? And my belief is 100% and always will be that you need to have places that are just full on harder core than your standard experience, and then
And
most of your
don't forget
experience.
the balance. Don't forget the balance. They should balance it also. Like imagine if there is a version of Stormbreaker that is instance and one is PvP. The PvP should give you more rewards. So that's what I care about when they do instancing.
Maybe, or like some things are PvP related and some things just aren't. And
But
PvPers,
some people want some action.
okay, then they'll get their action. And if some people don't, and players don't want to do boring stuff, so they won't. And that's every MMO ever, right? Like a PvPer is just going to level as quickly as possible, not do any of the story stuff, and not care.
Exactly.
And,
just
and then a PvP,
they have the experience.
Yep, and then they want to go do what they want to do, and then other players will do things differently. You have to allow people to do things sort of how they want to do them, but I've said this a billion times, is that there are so many entitled people in this community that think that they deserve to do Hathor on day one and think that they deserve to do Stormbreaker on day one. And if you're unable to compete with the people around you in a Virgil says something about they continuously are making King of the Hill content and making a bunch of hills, right? And we need to stop doing King of the Hill content, or these people are going to get mad. The people, like, you can't expect to be the King of the Hill on day one when you're competing with everybody who's better than you at video games, right? So you either join the people that are better than you and experience it and enjoy it, or if you want to do it on your own with you and a couple of your buddies, you're going to have to wait until everybody's already become King of the Hill and is bored of it. That's just the end of the story. Like, stop being an entitled little baby and accept that this isn't going anywhere. You're going to be able to experience it, and don't cry because you weren't able to do it on day one. I probably won't either, right? There's no reason.
I totally agree with you.
There's no reason for me to join Shadow Moses on this one in particular. There's nothing worth doing on like a world first. Like, I don't care to be the world first killer of the worm. None of that has any meaning to me. But I did like being part of the world first of participating in the Hathor thing, because we were the ones who went in and did the mining. We were the ones who did a lot of the other stuff, like around Quantanium and things like that. And look at us. We made our whole business around it with our org. Like, you take what's there, and if you like the game, then you work within it, or you go on Reddit and complain like a little baby. And I'm tired of it. Like, stop. Like, you're adults, people.
The important thing with the conversation in general, and it's happened every single time, is don't blame the other players for playing the game.
Yeah.
If you want the feature to be different, that is 100% reasonable. And like, you can have those conversations, and we're in the lucky situation where hopefully CIG will see the feedback. But you can't go like, oh my god, like I just can't do this event because everyone's doing PvP and I want to participate. That is not an excuse. It's not a reasonable excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't like the feature, that is fine. Explain that.
Just to last quick point.
Yeah, really quick, because you've been online for 28 minutes.
You guys been talking. I talked late. Come on. I'm sorry, but I promise.
Abe, I'll kick your ass out right now.
Also, sorry, my
we've
math
had a
is wrong.
conversation.
19 minutes, but still.
Okay. There will be quick. I think a major step when it comes to playability. I don't know if it's playability, but I think the people who grinded for the Polaris should get it in their account. Like people who grinded 200 hours or 100 hours. I don't know. Like, they should get this in their account. It's just nonsense if they need. I mean, I never tried to get one. I never had the org to do it. But I think the people who worked for that should get it in their account. So I don't think this harmed the pledge store at all. So I don't know.
No, I don't. They do. They do get it on their account, right? Because if this was 1.0 and the game was launched, they would never lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, like, it doesn't make sense for me. Like, they earned it. Like, if they played 100 hours, they earned it.
Okay, but then you want them to have it on launch? I don't know.
Why not? Like, I mean, there is no like broken Alpha UEC that can be exploited. Like, I would understand if it's been bought by Alpha UEC that is broken and exploited, but I mean, this
Because
is
that would be
Wicklow,
that would be even more broken than buying ships on the pledge store. If everything you earned during
Really?
the alpha, yeah. If everything you earned during the alpha would be there on the launch of the MMO. I know you're speaking specifically
Wales
about
already
one
have
thing.
it.
Yeah, great. They shouldn't either. I'm not arguing for that. What I'm telling you is that this is just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, one last thing. I took a long time.
You got
I'm sorry.
5 seconds.
But make them 10. The thing is about Mike. I asked you about that before. I totally agree with you. By the way, I believe when it comes to progression and incentive to play, I believe total loss of the item is the perfect thing to do. But I don't think this is happening with Star Citizen, and we have insurances. But my point, I'm not asking you to agree with me, but I'm asking you to see like from where I'm coming from is. I think the issue with insurance is not the insurance itself; it's the way CIG do the insurance, which is all around the pledge store. So, for example, there is
Sure.
no enough punishment. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, I mean,
No, yeah,
So,
like,
for example,
I don't know. Like,
for example, like
getting the item back is horrible. The reason they're giving the item back is because you paid for it. If you just got money for it, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like the warranty,
I see,
I have
but-
no issue with insurance. I have issue with warranty.
Oh yeah, so player will pay other player to do their stuff. I understand that, but I'm saying even the warranty stuff could be done in a less horrible way. Like if there is a punishment for losing stuff, it would push player to own more than one of the same item. Like if you lose your P8 or S71 and you
Bro,
pay
we've
a
had this
million
conversation
Alpha USD,
60 times on Discord. I will, because again, the reason I'm going to cut you off is not because I'm trying to be rude to you. I have explained this to you 100 times and I will explain it again. At some point, if you fly the Gladius, I agree. If they did it the way you're saying, that you would have 5 Gladiuses. But then when you hit 5, that's enough that the timers and all those things, you would have min-maxed it and you have everything you need. You no longer need to buy from people anymore. Again, if you want a player-driven economy, things need to die. If they do not die, if they do not disappear, you do not have a player-driven economy. End of story. Better than nothing is not good enough for an $800 million game that said that they were going to be better than... They did not say that they were going to be better than nothing. Star Citizen better than nothing was never a quote that was made by them, right? They said that they were going to be better than everything else. They were going to try to do things better. They were going to do things different, but they're just doing things the same. So...
That would go hard as a tagline, though.
Yeah, better than nothing, I guess.
I'm not defending
I know, and I'm not heated at you. I'm not heated at you either. I'm heated at the 13 years of this bullshit.
The bare minimum when it comes to insurance.
That's fine.
That's all.
Abe, we'll let you go. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Just because. Yeah, we're not going to get to Pigtails or FinalStorm if we keep talking.
Fine.
But yeah, I hope you get the point I'm trying to make. Is that they will never.
Yeah,
they will stop at a point.
I hope you get my point. But
I do.
Thank you.
I do. All right, Abe, be good.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Bye
Have a nice day. Have
See you on Discord. You too.
Answer the call. Better than nothing.
Yeah, better than nothing, I guess. All right, so that was Abe. This is Frosty. Welcome, Frosty.
Frosty.
Jesus Christ. What happened to 5 minutes? Fuck me. Anyway, yeah.
Frosty, who mods our Discord and has to deal with Abe all day, every day. But Abe converses over voice entirely different than how he does over text. It's 2 totally different people, it feels like.
Yeah.
He speaks properly, but he's anyway. So yeah, I just want to talk about the stability stuff. I mean, compared to the start of the year to now, it's basically night and day for what we had to go through. But I think talking about this year as an overall opinion, I don't think it's a stability thing. Well, personally for me, I think it's CRG giving themselves a little bit of breathing room when it comes to creating new systems and Squadron 42.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like in that post that you mentioned earlier, I think it's bearded, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Those new systems And well, from my personal opinion, until they get those new systems in, that's the proper time that they start the stability stuff, because it's no point, doing these, these old systems that they got now, bug fixing them and getting to a proper place when they're going to rip them out and replace them with new systems anyway. And those systems are going to have their own bugs. They're going to have their own issues. So until they start doing that, and that's probably going to
What am
start
I
with the
going to
transport
rebuttal
system.
to this? What would I rebuttal to this? You already know, I'm sure.
Probably.
It's been 13 years. They've been saying the same things. We're not going to fix anything because we're going to fix it.
Yeah, that's always been that argument. But I mean, for me personally, that's just like how I see it, because there's only so much they can do with these systems that they've got now until they replace them.
Yeah, and then there'll be only so much they can do with the ones that they replace, because they'll add even more dog shit that they want to sell in the servers. Hopefully not, but that's been the trend, unfortunately.
Yeah, but so for me, for this year, it's just basically a year of content, not really stability. Get it playable and add in content and fix that content when it breaks. But that's all I see.
And they haven't.
Yeah, that's where they've fallen short.
Yeah, that's what you know. What? That's a really good point. That's where people's frustrations probably are, because even the people who waited to do Hathor are struggling to do Hathor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like when Hathor came out as well. It's like, oh, the content is going to break, the servers, but then you see the performance when the patch came out, and they had to like switch out the DGSs and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it's just to give them room to put people on Squadron, and then to build the systems in the background as well. That's all it is. That's all I see it. And people think that things are going to get better. They can do, but they're going to get worse because they're going to have to replace the systems anyway.
I mean, that's essentially saying they just lied too, by the way you're saying it, which is possible.
I mean, not essentially that they lied, but they just haven't told the whole,
the whole truth.
Oh, the whole truth. Yeah, we've got to replace the transport system. Okay, this is the new shiny thing, but it's going to be coming with its own bugs and issues. It's like, what do you think is going to expect? They've got server meshing to a good place, but what do you think is going to happen when they turn it over to dynamic server meshing, or they're going to switch out the audio system, or the new graphics? They don't even want to update their own engine for Star Citizen at the moment, because they think it's going to degrade performance and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you expect is going to happen when they actually do that? Yeah. So don't think of it as, oh, things are going to get better. It's just them having that breathing room and giving us content while they work on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, but that's not what they said. Okay. And like, that's the part that it's like, again, you are looking at this with hindsight, but if I told you in January or whenever that thing was posted, more like February, would you feel like would you tell me I'm just being overly negative, that this is where we would be? They would have done a bunch of big events. The servers would not work. None of the events would work. You would still have freight elevator and hangar issues, right? So,
I mean, I wouldn't have thought that you're just being overly negative. I think it's just things would have get better, but you wouldn't have been all perfect, because they've not really done anything. Like, from what Chris said in his letter, it's like half of that stuff hasn't even happened with like the tech channel and all that stuff. It's just not happened. They haven't tested those systems, so it's not a case of from back then when the letter came out up to now, because it's CIG, it's just a case of you'd have to wait and see. But looking back on it now, things have got better, but it's not in a place where they can go, here's a proper game that you can actually play. It's just a middle ground, if you see what I'm coming from.
I'll amend your thing. It's not a game where they should say that. It doesn't stop them from saying that through all the ads.
It won't stop them, no, but
yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I've got really. Just don't expect things to massively change by the end of the year, because it's just not going to.
Yeah, probably not. But again, it was just like, why should we say don't expect things when they said to expect things? So
Yeah,
that's it's
I mean,
frustrating. Yeah.
it is because it's like the last season kind of was, when they was going through all these new systems, like, oh yeah, next year they're going to rip all this system out and they're going to have new proper things, that are standard in an MMO. But then it comes to, 4.0 comes out and it's just a wreck, and then they go to, oh yeah, we're just going to work on stability and you're just going to have content. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, but if you're going to do that, then what happened to the stuff that he was working on? It was like, oh yeah, we were just going to work on it in the background.
Yeah, okay.
That yeah, that's all they can say. But just people need to understand that it's just not going to be perfect, and they shouldn't expect that to, even if CRG says that.
I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting perfection here, but I was not expecting it to be this focused on content and almost no focus on fixing what we already had. It's still the same bullshit of driving forward, pushing the patch out as quickly as got to get it out. We got a sale coming. Flight blades, this, that, like, just look like. Again, if I told you this is what it would be, you would not believe me. I'm pretty sure most people would not have believed me if I said what happened this month, basically.
I also wouldn't have believed you if you said, and also there's Hathor, and also there's this Stormbreaker event and stuff coming out. To come back to expectations, my expectations when they said no features
was nothing,
but content heavy, was like, well, it was like supply or die.
Yeah.
Right? Like global events that seemingly, like, I'm sure they require a lot of work, but in terms of like the other stuff that we've seen,
agreed,
presumably far less. Right?
But remember, the moment Hathor came in, that was the brick wall of server stability, desync, and then Idris, Polar, all those things. Just remember that that's when it all started to fail too. There's a very clear line of before Hathor and after Hathor how things were feeling. So but Frosty, you said you were about done? No?
Yeah,
Yes?
that's it.
Okay.
I've got that. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
All right, perfect.
Awesome, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Frosty.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. All right, next caller. I think first time caller. Campo, is this your first time?
Second time.
Second time. Okay.
Welcome back.
Apologize. Welcome back.
Oh, no problem. I wrote a few things down, but
Perfect.
I just wanted to start with one thing. I mean, I was very happy with the whole Ikti only in-game announcement, right?
Yeah.
So I would, if this is actually true, who knows? No? But if this actually ends up in the next patch and you can't buy it anywhere, and they do release a skin for this Ikti, I'm definitely going to buy that skin. And I would actually
I will
encourage everyone here. If you say you don't like this pay-to-win shit, right? Vote with your wallet and buy that skin.
How about this?
Unless the skin looks terrible.
I will say, unless the skin's horrible.
Yeah, sure.
I will with real money added to my account for the first time since 2017. We'll add money to my account for that reason. That is a really good point. Just to show that, to speak with your wallet. Agreed. I love that.
Yeah. If they see like a big spike with the Ikti, I mean,
my wife just opened the door and is staring at me, and is saying like with like a "don't do that" face. It's $5. Just $5.
You're giving them $5.
I will give them $5.
For what?
A skin.
You're gonna buy a skin in a video game.
Yeah.
Vote
with your wallet. Yep, you guys got me in trouble, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think we already pretty much went over the whole stability thing. I mean, it's working really well. I would say like this is, I guess, kind of playability. It's like still not a game that really respects your time a lot. I'm really low on time for games in general, so I haven't recently. So I haven't really been finding myself playing the game a lot, just because I'm like, I could be playing like Elden Ring, something like that, right? Instead. But whenever I play, it's pretty smooth. I mean, interaction delay is usually pretty low, which is for me was like a really, really annoying thing back in the day. I saw like PTU. That's not the case at all,
No.
which is why I don't play the PTU, right?
Yep.
But yeah, one thing is like we are in the year of stability, and voice over IP is broken the whole time. That's just like a joke, right? It's not broken the whole time, but it's unreliable.
They did
Yeah,
many moons ago, like a few moons ago, say something around it's a legacy thing. It can only hold 50 people or some thing or another. So it's something that they want to deal with. They know about it, but they're not. And again, when we're talking about the year of stability, we're talking about these are the things we thought they would prioritize. The game experiences that you are consistently having issues with. But once again, I know we're not talking about tier 0 item recovery and things like that. They said that was the #1 priority, but there is no way that was the #1 requested feature. That was the #1 requested feature from people who buy shit on the pledge store. But people who actually play the game, they would tell you things like VoIP. They would tell you things like inventory. They would tell you things, many other things than that shit. Guaranteed. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, I was really, I really wasn't happy about the announcement at the beginning of the year. Just because I felt like this is maybe a year or something too early. Like, if you look at the game, this is what I said on my first call, right? If you look at the game how it is right now, even if it's working perfectly, I just don't see myself really like being excited to play it every day, getting into it, like justifying taking the time. I'll probably just play it like I see a detox video on YouTube, I get hyped about doing one thing, I get some people together, do the same thing, and then that's it, right?
Bro, I love hearing that. Just a total tangent. I could think back to like 2015, 2016, somewhere in the 2016 to 2019 window. Me and Detox having conversations about making content like that many moons ago about how that would be like that will be the content that will succeed. And like the fact that somebody just calls into the show and mentions that as their like that's what motivates me and excites me about the game is like I wish I could take everything that's happening to him now and show him that back then that it would all be okay, because that was it was not good times back then trying to make that kind of content.
Yeah, I mean, for people like him, I'm sure it's this year's going pretty well, right? Because you get a lot of content to do.
Yep.
And that's good,
I think
right?
Sorry, just to your point, I think I mentioned this when they made the announcement, that it is very likely the reason they decided to do this route this year is because if they did continue like feature focusing on all those ones that are going to come out, you know just how broken the game would be now, but more importantly, you know just how broken the game would be if Squadron releases next year and people try to play Star Citizen. And so it's a case of we have to sacrifice, at least for that. I imagine they said we have to sacrifice the new mechanics that flesh out the game more for just making sure the game works when Squadron comes out so that people have a place to go. A non-fleshed out game may turn off some people. An extremely buggy game will.
Yeah. I think that's the exact reason. It's just, I just wrote down features, please, here, just because. Base building, engineering, crafting, all this stuff. I mean, that would be some really cool things. I think one thing they really need is engineering, because if the game comes out and then there's just no reason to multi-crew anything, I just don't think that's really what
engineering do it though? Many people feel like it will not, right?
There needs to be more.
I don't know why they're so afraid to just make multi-crew ships OP for a patch or two. I feel like they always just do these like tiny little steps, like increasing turret ammo or something. Like that's the problem. Right?
Well, if you
it feels like a lot of
if you make multi-crew themselves OP, then you have the solo multi-crew ship guys like the Idrises, right? I mean, they literally have, right, with the Idris and the laser beam. So, and what do you get, right? You get pledge store people, again, exclusively
Yeah.
pledge store people, ruining your game experience potentially.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I did play Jump Ship the other day with a friend of mine. And one thing I noticed that was pretty cool about that is that the turrets actually had higher DPS than the pilot weapons. So
hmm
I feel like that felt really good because I was flying the ship, right? So I kind of had to make sure he was like in a good position and all that. And I feel like he got the better role, which is a really cool thing to say, right? Because I was
Yeah.
flying the ship.
Yeah.
So,
I hate flying.
yeah.
But
Yeah, he just, I wanted to kind of do the engineering, but he insisted, so I was like, okay, fine. But it's a good game, by the way. If people in chat want to check it out.
okay.
Yeah, and then I started playing something similar to Star Citizen back in the day. Well, in my head, it's similar. It was like an armor-free mod, Altus Life, where you're
Okay.
also like driving around in trucks, farming stuff, making money. And there is this thing where you had to pay money to park out your ships from the garage. And whenever I see these gigantic Idrises like flying around everywhere all the time, I feel like maybe not now because we're in alpha and you can have that the whales have some fun, right? But we could have something where we just pay money to park out big ships because in that game back then, that was a really like good way to make you have to justify taking like a big ass truck out,
Play the game.
and you just wouldn't.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
they'll sell currency too, so they'll be a way. And I
Well,
really
they
want
still
to
make money.
yeah, I guess it. But I do want to avoid as much as possible like the store purchases either being insular to the individual player or especially if they buy like currency that it doesn't go directly into the player economy. Like you want if they're buying stuff on the website, you want it to flow to the players and not flow right back to CIG as much. Would be the hope
Yes.
there. At least not directly. And what you're giving, the example you give goes directly back to CIG. Although I agree with it completely because it would be nice as it would be like, well, I can't afford to pull out my Idris because I haven't played enough kind of thing.
Yeah. Or you just want to transport these 50 SCU, so you're not going to take out this gigantic
Idris
cargo
to
ship
do it.
just for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a bigger
yeah.
cargo ship. Agreed. For sure. All right, Kampu, is there anything
Yeah.
else or?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys the best and worst thing about Star Citizen, in your opinion. Then I'm out.
The community for both.
For both. That's good.
Yeah, for both. The community.
I was gonna say community for best for sure.
Quick.
The worst though I think is just the management of the project over the years in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like they would not have to constantly redo things as often if the management was better at certain times.
If I'm being honest, the funding model is the worst and the best is the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's all hope that they kind of figure out to make a good game in the end. Huh?
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Yep.
All right, Kampu, be good, man.
All right, awesome. Cheers, Kampu.
I know.
Now, if only CIG would let me purchase the community on the pledge store.
Yeah.
God damn.
All right, and our next caller, I actually held up because I don't know what to title it because you're on the girl in Pigtails Discord, but I think it's Q. So who do we have? You there, Q?
I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, it's Q. If you
hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
Output. I just got to change my output. Okay, can you talk?
Yes, can you hear
Hello.
us?
There we go. I got you. Okay.
Lovely.
All right, so Q.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yep.
All right, cool. So, how you doing? There's
Good.
Pigtails here too.
Guys.
Oh, you're both there. Okay,
So,
cool. I'll change it then.
Yeah, we've been trying for weeks to call you about that extended warranty, Mike, and you just never answered the call there. So,
Yeah.
I have a few things here. I've written them down, so hold on. First, I want to say, based on my experience, I don't want to go into detail about my background and whatnot, but based on my experience, I have led several engineering startups, and I posted this in chat. Engineering based startups tend to give too much power and direction to the engineers, and that's what they had to do in the beginning. And those people have a hard time balancing that power to the product, program, or project management teams. Engineers tend to focus on things that are cool, features, and things of that nature, where the product, program, project management team who is supposed to run that, in theory, are supposed to have a much more holistic view and ultimately focuses on user experience. And I think that's one of the, and it's not uncommon. I think that's one of the traps that CIG finds itself right now, is they pigeonhole themselves a little bit too much on the engineering side and all the promises they've given to the community, and the backlog, and not focused enough on user experience.
Yep.
Can't
disagree.
Next, I want to say that for the exploration, real quick, and again, this is one you can sum the F off here, is, I discussed this last night with a group of people, and I think you have to admit that Evo, in regards to exploits, just take the Hathor, for example, or any of the CZ zones, things of that nature. Evo's experience is in the exploration portion of that is vastly different than your average user who doesn't watch Twitch and doesn't jump into PTU, that gets it on release, on live to go play it. Evo gets to do it in a very free environment in which they can explore, look at every nook and cranny fairly safely. By the time it gets all the way through PTU, phase 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call those, the average user that comes into live, there's a significant number of people that have already gone through all that, know all the hidey holes, and are bored with the content to begin with, and then use that against the casual player. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying I do think from a perspective standpoint, there is a difference in how those people experience new quote unquote exploration content.
For sure.
Yeah.
I did get to experience in Evo exploring all this, finding I didn't fight the worm until open wave, but it's the same idea. I got to do all of that in an experience where I have no one fighting me for it. I have really, really good servers, because a lot of the times during PTU, you'll have these instances where it's much better than live. I got to experience that that way. When I do it in live, even if that was my first experience in live, it'll be significantly worse. I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, we're coming from the perspective of wow, I had this really good experience, and I almost feel bad that I did, and that other people will not. Right? It's not like the, that's my perspective of it. It was wow, I got to take my time and look at the walls, and I'm noticing I don't have the time to do that, to even show it to my community, and I know where the walls are.
Yeah, I was just saying from a perspective standpoint, when you see some of the complaints, I think those people just have a little bit of different perspective. That's all. I was just trying to put it in perspective. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, now to the point of the call. I think there's a difference between stability, performance, and playability. I'm honestly far less annoyed about stability, given all the back-end tech. I know they're changing. Again, from a very product management, executive standpoint on an engineering firm, I get that. What I'm annoyed about is the lack of quality of life or playability that amplifies or creates a force multiplication against those stability issues. Yeah. And one of those, which is the quality of life, can be resolved directly. The other one is iterative. And it annoys me that they don't focus on the things that can directly be resolved. Some of those things are search functions, search in your inventory, search in your ASOP, search the keybinds, search friends or party things when you're trying to do an invite, tooltips in the menu in the keybind, inventory stack functions, saved loadouts, calling ships and then spawning them and they're bad, voice over IP, working transit system, a mini elevator in your hangar to pull out ground vehicles, snub ships, and things of that nature that already existed in a previous version, as far as you went to an outpost and it could only spawn extra small hangars. So that tech exists. Yeah. The quantum pathing sucking, every time you try to quantum, there's a planet in your way, you got to manually go to an OM before you do it. A player trading system via an escrow system, in-game selling UIs, things of those natures can be directly put into the game so that when the bugs happen, I feel like less of my time is being eaten up because it's a lot more efficient, to play the game.
I've said this a million
so
times.
that was
Is
all
it
the
a
things I had
tier
written down.
like with tier 0 shit? Like, is it even a tier 0 problem, or are you just annoyed that when you die, it takes 30 fucking hours to get your armor back on? Like, not everybody
what I'm
bought
saying.
armor on the store.
Yeah.
A lot of us just used regular Morozovs or whatever, right? Especially if you were doing CZs. But the setup process again was super annoying. Like the
That's what I'm
core
saying.
is
Those
the
quality of
issue.
life issues
Yeah.
should be able to be resolved much easier than back-end tech for server meshing, right?
And
Dedicate
now,
some people to giving us quality of life, and we will forgive your server issues. I believe that's my opinion. Maybe not everyone believes that, but I think that.
I think more people
So
would
that's all
agree
I
with
wanted
you
to
than
say.
disagree.
I didn't want to eat up. I know you're running long, and but I wanted to say those things.
Yeah, I think more people would agree than disagree, for sure.
Yep.
And good to see you, brother. You too, Croncy.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. I don't want to eat up all your time here. I'm trying to be a quick caller. You know me. I can go on and on.
All good. Be good, but be good, you two. And yeah, appreciate the call. Chat loved
Appreciate
you.
the call, guys.
Absolutely, brother. Have a good one.
Catch up. Bye.
Catch up.
That was good. Chat was really enjoying that one. All right, we actually got to all of our callers in the queue. I mean, we're running late, but yeah, we'll get to this last one. We'll just make it quick. FinalStorm, are you there?
Yeah, just one moment.
All right. I also need a
sorry
moment.
about
Put
that.
your name on there.
Oh, good. All right.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Go for it.
Well, nearly everything's been covered because that's what happens when you're at the back end. But
yeah.
But it means you get to sum it all up, and you're the hero of the
Yeah.
entire podcast. That's the trick.
You get to tell
I'm not
how
gonna be
all of them
hero.
were wrong.
I'm probably more going to be a villain, and people just would disagree with me probably. But just to Abe quickly, the Polaris thing. If someone has done it, just give them the skin. All right, just give them a skin. You
Yeah,
have
the
Polaris
Wicklow skin. Yeah.
And
Oh, sure.
Wicklow skin.
Okay, yeah, and that's reasonable.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thumbs up to you. Good effort. And we'll end that one there.
Okay.
My biggest issue is stability. I think like I'm probably a new player to Star Citizen in the long term, like compared to long term players. I've still spent stupid amounts of money in that short time because that's what
I
happens.
think that's how long-term players work. You spend all the money at the start, then you play for a real long time.
You know you've been playing a while when you've got a Perseus at $300. So
yeah.
But my biggest thing about the game is I remember when I first got into it, and I would get out of bed and break my legs multiple times. You know, I'd fall down a stair, and that would send me back to the bed.
Yep.
It's obviously they've improved massively. Server stability has improved massively. There was lots of 30Ks. You get a few server resets, and even the time, I think, from when they first started doing this server re-jumping, whatever they want to call it, it's so fast. We had one the other day that was 5 seconds, like maybe 5 to 7 seconds, and it was like, holy crap, you know, that's so good.
And I've barely even seen server errors in the last like few weeks anyway.
Yeah, I think I've seen one.
They're rare. We had it when I think we had like 6 Idrises in the area, and you know
that'll do it.
So, but
was one of them yours, FinalStorm?
What I'm going to say here is,
does it have a laser on it?
No.
All right.
I had an Idris in my cart. I had permission from the wife to click yes. And just for everybody else, after 30 minutes, your cart times out. They removed the transaction ID, so you can't even email them to say, hey, there was a bit of a mistake. So no, I don't have an interest, and I'm very glad I don't, because yes, so I did miss it, but I did have it in the cart. But congratulations to people who did. You pay to win in the game. But
wait a second
at the end
here.
of the day, I just want to wind back. So
yeah.
Back to the thing. The reason we play the game is we all love space. We love the spaceships. The biggest issue is just let us fly the damn spaceships. Not sit here clicking an ASOP terminal, praying to the Star Citizen gods that it works. And just, I mean, I played an alpha game the other day. I'm not going to mention the game. It was shit. Good on them for trying. But the imagery worked. The first thing I noticed about the game is I picked something up. It was an MMO it instantly went in my inventory, and I could use it and I could access it. I didn't have to press F 37 times for the inventory to load.
But we don't understand game development, apparently, when we complain about these things. Like,
yeah.
Well, neither does the person who made this game, apparently.
Well, because it was shit. Yeah.
To FinalStorm.
All I want them to do.
You know why the game was bad? Because they had a good inventory. That's why FinalStorm. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the quirks of the broken mechanics that you need.
It just didn't have big spaceships. But
yeah.
I just think they need to go back to the actual foundation of the game. We're playing Star Citizen because we love flying ships around. We love their cool vehicles. They need to get that portion of the game consistently working. And that comes with the stability of the game. If people can play the game without any interruption, it doesn't matter what the interruption is, whether it's stability on a server end or just basic being able to play the game, quality of life stuff, I suppose.
That's a good way to describe stability, is like play the game without any disruption. There are still a ton of disruptions. They're just not server errors anymore.
Yeah. And the biggest issue is like, I mean, I'm a little frustrated today because I lost 6 to 7 hours yesterday with the hangers and some little pipsqueak in a Gladius. But every time I go to show my friends the game, every time I go to show my friends the game, and I whip out my Reclaimer because salvaging is God, and I go to show them stuff, and without fail, within the first 5 minutes or less, they've experienced 1 to 2 bugs.
Yeah.
And you just got to go and explain it to them that, they're fixing that next week if the patch releases. This is going to, they're working on this, and then 4 years later, I'm
the Burks meme next patch to Shroud and Summit. And we're still here with all the same bugs that they were experiencing then. Kind of.
That's right. So just fix the cargo elevators, fix the hangars. For crying out loud, stop putting your stupid little atlases in the freight elevator. Just put a vehicle hanger module on the side. Not that hard. Surely they're smart enough to be able to do that.
I don't know about that comment, because I feel like if they were, they would be done already. But yeah.
But they're there though. I mean, they're outside the elevator.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I don't want to keep too much of your time, so I'm just going to try and flick through my list here. The bouncing vehicles, I think, was one of the best changes that's coming up in the next patch that I've seen, because it actually makes vehicles viable again. And again, if you can use them, technically a ship bouncing, actually happened to me today. My Asgard flew off on me while I was raiding a base, and I had to backspace to get to my lovely Ursa Medivac that was on board to get back into it. But the other thing I want to just slightly veer off onto is, like, I'm an economy person, and it's probably why I like a lot of Mike's videos, because he talks sense to me. And I don't know why they're not. Everyone that I have conversations with, they always go, but it's an alpha. And I'm like, yeah, but they should be trying to figure that stuff out now. Stabilize a common economy for what's currently in the game.
Boys,
when you implement
it'll always be an alpha. It'll always be an alpha if it doesn't end up, like, if you don't start making the game during the out, like, it never becomes a game if the argument is always it's an alpha, that's why it's not a game. Like, what are we talking about? I can't with people. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm shaking and vomiting today, like lots.
So, and this comes around.
Montoya's going to have lots of content.
The Gillies missions I think they were fantastic. Like, they were actually educational to new players. They were really fun. And when you completed them, the fact that they're repeatable is really good, because if you get a new ship, you're sort of limit testing what that ship can do. And I did that. I think in my Asgard, I got up to the Hammerhead, realized it's not as strong with them shitty size 2 shields, and that's the limit of the Asgard. But when you're sitting there with an Idris and you're firing that big ass cannon, making 200k every 2 minutes, you're not going to stabilize any economy at all.
No.
Like, all right. So my fix is CIG, if you even listen to these things, is
they don't.
You're going to hate this. Make it a weekly or a daily. Otherwise, you complete it, you get congratulations, you've done tier 8, you've passed the missions, you now get 0. You can still do the missions, or just make it on a reset that once a week the currency resets. So maybe you can do it as a bit of a farming mechanism to get something.
I wonder
and that would-
how people would react to that, because I don't
gonna hate the
mind
next-
weeklies, dailies, or things like that, but I'm curious how other people would feel about it.
Well,
I mean, I hate
just
doing the
massive
dailies in
on-
Eve, but yeah.
Well, I'm just massive. I'm not flooding the economy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? The year of stupidity, releasing the Idris in its current format. Like, you know, there is not a mission that you can't do with one person in an Idris. It's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, CIG is
Somehow
listening,
limit-
and they literally
Yeah.
are laughing at your year of stupidity comment. There is at least
Yeah.
one dev listening. He's there. I see him.
so and keep up the good work if you are. The other thing was just back onto the stability. Stability of ships. So
Mhm.
I think it's awesome. We all love new ships. The new Prowler variant's coming out. Absolutely fantastic. Hasbro just fixed the first one.
Oh, so
Let's
that is a
just
thing.
fix
I
the
guess
ships
it's a
that are
leak
in
that I don't know
games.
about. It's definitely a thing.
No, it's not a
well,
leak. It's not a leak. It's just like
it's a
it's
very
surely
obvious.
a thing.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I
But just-
literally don't care about ships at all.
yeah. If a ship's been like the idea of the ship, the Orion or whatever, I understand they're big projects.
Mhm.
Work on them when they're ready to be worked on, but stop bringing out these new ones that just like they spring a new ship on us and just be like, yeah, we built this thing. We've been working. They've probably been working on it for a year and a half. Just fix the ships in game, get the inventory working, stabilize the game as best you can, start actually getting us a tiny bit of an economy where there's no duping, because that's how I got my Asgard full of patricians. Why would I go buy them for 250k when I can just, repair them and put them back on?
Yep.
I've only ever done that once, and I hate cheating, but I will admit I did do that because I just got fed up with everyone else having better things than me.
Yeah, the
And-
experience is so bad to get them that why not just
Yeah.
do it in your hangar?
Just as soon as they have an economy, it makes people play as well. And I'm not, because a lot of people will just dupe everything they want. There is a hidden player marketplace. I think it's UEX or something. Whatever it is, you can
Yep.
buy stuff with
We
real
use
money.
it every
And
day.
that comes back to and that's what comes to the Polaris thing too. So when Abe said, people earned the Polaris, no, they didn't. They sat there shooting hammerheads for 4 hours and they bought everything.
Yep.
Like,
And
so
it is somebody's earning it. It just may not be the person who's actually getting it. Right? Like
Yeah.
I heard somebody soloed the Polaris. I question if they truly soloed it or like nobody else
guy in our
involved at
org
all.
that probably got a fair chunk of it, but we
Yeah.
did help him. We definitely helped him get some stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Badass if he did,
and
but
Mm.
yeah,
you know.
he did. He ground pretty hard, and definitely it was a group effort at the end of the day. But he obviously did primarily most of it.
Oh, one
the
guy in
next-
our org actually soloed it, apparently. Like my org. And I believe it based on this guy. He's a Giga Chad, so yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually,
Possible.
if the devs are listening, there's a studio called Coffee Stain Studios. They've just recently finished the game Satisfactory. Their UI is fantastic.
Their
them up
communication
as
is
well.
fantastic too. And they
their
often
communication is really
and they
good.
often talk about how game development is difficult and we can't show you this and those things, but they do it in a way that's not shit. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love
So
those
get
guys.
Satisfactory.
Also, I really like
UI
their
and-
factory system. Please copy a
Oh.
CIG. It'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be
Your
sick.
base
Let that be my home base.
Yeah. I don't think that's possible in our servers. Their servers shit the bed with people's factories all the time, right? Well, not their servers, but your own server that you're running.
Yeah, just everyone's computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try not to
Um,
take too much time because there. But the other thing was abandoned ships.
I would say
40
do your
just
last thing, FinalStorm, if you don't mind. Do your last thing. Because we are almost 30 minutes over.
100%. Well, there'll be 2, but this one will be quick.
Okay.
So just with the abandoned ships, I'm not sure if I got a message the other week saying that they were doing a weekly maintenance. Now, obviously, we don't stay up till midnight every day because I work.
Mhm.
But I don't know, is that a thing? Are they actually doing a maintenance once a week, or was that just a once off?
CIG. Yeah, they sort of are.
Is it
It's
weekly?
once every week or 2 weeks, because it always happens just when I'm about to get on. I said this would happen at the start of the year if they started doing these, because I'd be really happy they do like more downtimes, but it would always happen when I'm about to play. So yeah, it's not like weekly. It's like every 2-ish weeks when they need it, sort of, right? It's not not consistent.
Yeah, it's not a scheduled thing. It seems like it's when it's needed.
Yeah.
Well, do it on a schedule, once a week, once a fortnight if they want, but just make it that it's a complete wipe of entities that have just been dumped pretty much and left there.
It's just to be clear,
clearly help the server.
It's my understanding, like you said, it would clearly help the server. It's my understanding that, you know, doing it over and over again every day, or even if you did daily, it doesn't affect it as much as you would think, because as you can probably tell, on a brand new server, even in the PTU right now, within 15 minutes, it's done, right?
Yeah.
So there's way more underlying problems that are more important than daily, weekly, bi-weekly, because they don't have as big of an effect as you would think.
The other thing, I told you everyone would hate me. This will be the last thing I will go at. It's not to do with stability, but it can be, is that the game needs to go to a subscription at some point, if it goes into beta, and that is to try and get away from the pledge store ships, because if we're going to be buying them all in game, they're still going to need to have an income. You got 5 million players, you're going to make 3 times as much as you've ever made in 1 month if everyone just pays $15 to play the game.
Everyone's going to hate you.
I don't agree. I don't agree that they're going to make more money through subscriptions. I think they are going to continue. I almost guarantee. I don't want to do maths. Someone else do it. But I think they will continue selling pledge store stuff, whether including ships. I think they will move towards more skin type transactions, but I think you'll still always be able to buy ships. My thing is, I think that's inevitable. So what needs to happen is the in-game stuff needs to be far better. That's why I really like the crafting system initially, where it's like, well, that can be far better than your pledge stuff. So even if you did buy an Idris, you don't have a tier 3 Idris. But then that also goes back to me being concerned about what they said about their insurance system, because that says that may not happen.
Yeah, but why would I buy?
Or like there's workarounds to that.
Why would I buy an Idris if I don't get a tier 3 Idris? And like
exactly.
I think the reason that a submodel is better than any of them is it literally forces the developer to make a good game, whereas this model clearly does not. It forces them to make super cool, powerful ships.
Yeah. Also, I would prefer to pay subscription for reference.
Because if they have all 5 million players, and of course I know none of you have made alts to gift yourself, you know, LTIs to get free ships. No one's done that. So let's just assume all 5 million people.
People do that? Like, seriously, people do that?
Yeah, that's the joke. People do that all the time.
What the fuck is wrong with
that's how you get your crazy LTIs. Like if you can get, they got
like when a referral comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so they're making $75 million off 5 million people at $15 a month. They only make $28 million if they sell Idrises. So longevity of the game, and they could actually afford better equipment or whatever they need to do, hire more staff. But yeah, it definitely needs to go that. And the last thing is, before I go, is yes, I've spent quite a bit of money in the game as well. And I, as a player, would be absolutely happy that if the game came out at 1.0, my Ironclad is a blueprint, my Reclaimer is a blueprint, my Perseus is a blueprint. I don't want to just go in there and I've got it. They can shout me an Avenger Titan to get around in to start with, and I'll be happy. But people who spent more money than me will not want to do that. But
yeah, we actually got the dev response. Like, if you saw me go into my phone when you said that, I knew that the dev that was laughing at you earlier was the dev that kind of does these things around the maintenance server stuff, maintenance stuff. So I or is at least aware of what they do with those things. So I messaged him and I was like, can you respond to this? If you can, please do. And he said, we schedule time to perform a weekly maintenance if it's necessary. So again, if necessary. Lately, only opting to do so if hotfix propagation needs to be accelerated. But as stated, just restarting the servers alone is not the solution folks would normally expect due to persistence, right? Because again, all of our shit just continues to persist, and it will, in 15, 20 minutes, it's a problem. So they have to figure that side out. It's not as easy as just restarting the servers. So I swear they said that at some point.
Responding.
Yeah,
Because,
that's
like we don't
that's
know as
Proxys.
people, plebs. We don't really know what goes on behind all their closed doors.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we come on here, we ask stupid questions because we're just guessing. We don't really know how hard it is. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's
Also, the
Your
information
stupidity goes both ways.
Yeah, there's information
Correct.
from devs on Reddit. There's information from devs on Twitter. There's information from devs on Spectrum, YouTube, here,
Yeah.
there. It's like, dude, nobody can put it all together unless it's your job, and that's basically what some of us try to do as our jobs because it's actually needed. Yeah, Billy now, like Jesus, you know, it's like everywhere. So it's hard
I'll
to put it all
leave
together.
It there with a closing statement is they've got 6 months to put at least 12 PDCs on my reclaimer and open up the back end so I can fit 1,000 SCU into it.
Deal.
There's your time frame.
All
All right, boys. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Cheers, FinalStorm.
Talk to you
Thanks
good.
for staying up late. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks for the laugh as well. Catch you. All right. That was the show. Good last caller, which is why we kept going. The year of stupidity. I can't get past that. That's my
Year
stream
of
title.
Stupidity and Star Citizen more than nothing.
Yeah.
The
Those
two
are my
best
next two
taglines.
stream titles. So yeah, better than nothing.
Yeah, if you guys enjoyed watching the podcast, make sure to, if you are here on YouTube, make sure to like. We also do it live on YouTube, so make sure you watch for there. Come and follow both myself and Mike over here on Twitch. And I want to point out a couple of people that sent us some money today, which is very, very cool over on YouTube. So thank you, Mr. Aston, for the $10. Appreciate that a ton. M. Stee, thank you very much for the $9. $2 of which they mentioned is to help Mike buy the Ikti skin. So you might be okay now, Mike.
Sick.
And Call Me Teach, thank you for coming to the concierge line, which is, I just remembered, is what we called memberships on YouTube.
That's amazing. I guess it's a good opportunity to point that out as well. Croncy and I split YouTube stuff 50-50. Obviously, we're doing the streams at the same time as well. But if you wanted to like support anyway, like, hey, I love the podcast. I don't like Mike, but I don't like Croncy by themselves, but I like the podcast. If there's any of you that exist out there, that's the best way, because we literally split the revenue 50-50 every month. So, yeah. So if you guys really enjoy the pod and want to support it, that's where you do it. Do it on YouTube, and it'll split up evenly, perfectly. Right. Yeah. So thank you everybody for watching, and once again, all the social stuff, and look forward to next week. Hopefully we have some good news. But yeah, thank you for watching, and don't forget
to answer the call.
Nice. And hey, what happened to the outro?
Oh, no, the outro?
No, that's the intro. Oh, I ruined it.